Alright, yo, what up, mates? Welcome to my end of the year 2023 games video. This is just kind of an annual thing that I thought was fun that I do every year. So basically, it's gonna be even better than ever this year. I've split up each of the games into like certain categories. So for example, right? We have the main series, like the games that I played by myself and have completed. And then we have like the randomizer slash party games. In other words, the kinds of games where like technically there's no end to them. They can just keep on going and there'll be like more episodes of them. And then we have the friends category, which is where it's either Zach or Seb playing a game, and I watch and commentate on it. So basically someone other than me playing a game. And then lastly, we have the unfinished slash ongoing series. These are series that never got finished or are waiting to be finished. Kind of the more sad part of the list, but yeah. This is probably going to be a really long video, but I did play a bunch of games this year. Now, if I count exactly how many games I played, it looks like 132 different games. Some of them weren't by me, obviously, but if there's 132 games in here, then, that's what we have to get to. Now, there is a chance I may have left out some games here and there. Also, yes, Happy New Year's to everybody. There is a good chance I may have left out some games, and in which case, I feel like they didn't leave enough of an impact for me to really comment on it. So, yeah. Anyways, I guess we'll start off. We have, F-Zero X. This is not gonna be, like, professional or anything, I just have all the games. So yeah, F-Zero X, technically, I played it this year. It was kind of one of those series from the end of 2022 that I ended up finishing this year. To be honest, most of 2023 for F-Zero X was me checking out the expansion pack and getting that to work. But I'm really glad I got to play F-Zero X because it's a really fun game, and it's a great follow-up to me playing F-Zero GX like the year before that. I might end up playing some of the other F-Zero games, but since this and GX are like the only two like really good 3D ones, hard to say honestly. But I'm glad I got to play F-Zero X. Maybe I didn't get to, beat the game on, like, super expert mode on, like, all the cups, but I did my best and I had fun with it. And it definitely had a much tougher learning curve than GX, to be honest. Which is why I can see some people might like this game more. But, yeah, those are my thoughts on X. Alright, next up, we have Paper Mario Dark Star Edition. Paper Mario Dark Star Edition was a series that me and Zach actually started in December of 2022. But the first episodes, honestly, it took until like the start of January for them to go up. So it's mostly a 2023 series. But this is probably one of the best Mario RPG hacks I've ever played. Because the difficulty hits the perfect tones. Like, it's the perfect difficulty without being too absolutely bullshit. And also, it had, like, a fuck ton of post-game. Like, the post-game made up, like, 70% of the game, which is kind of crazy to me. And that's probably why I liked it so much, to be honest. So, yeah. We are going to play Master Quest in 2024. It'll probably be a few weeks before we start that, because we are going to do some, various one-off side gigs. to be honest. But yeah, if you've not played Dark Star Edition, I really recommend it, because it's probably like the best Paper Mario ROM hack I've ever played. Outside of the randomizer, of course, but that's the randomizer, and we'll get to that. Alright, so another series that continued from 2022 was the Super Mario World Co-op 96 Exits playthrough with Zeppy. This was kind of an idea that we had where, you know, me and Zeppy were kind of thinking of what games could we play together and beat. And Mario World was kind of one of them. And I thought, you know, I haven't played Mario World in a long time. I've never actually sat down and 100%ed the game before. So I decided, why not do it two-player? Because, you know, I love my multiplayer co-op Mario games. And, you know, it was fun revisiting Mario World, you know, when the game didn't lag. Because, this is kind of before I got my Ethernet sorted out at the start of 2023. So, the series kind of was shitty at some points, but it was still really fun. When it worked, it was a lot of fun, and honestly, it kind of makes me want to do other games like this with Zeppy, just, you know, some chill NSO type games, but I'd have to see what he'd agree to do. Anyways, next game is Pokemon Vietnamese Crystal. Couldn't really find a better cover for this, so just have the normal Crystal box art for now. Vietnamese Crystal was a really funny series, especially because I haven't really seen footage of Vietnamese Crystal in I hadn't seen it in like 5 or 6 years, I think, so a lot of the dialogue was still pretty fresh to me, and it was a series I was pretty happy with, because it was nice to just like get all the boys together, just read some funny dialogue, and just like, you know, have fun, stupid, shitty moments, you know? And on top of it, we also randomized the game, which made the game extra chaotic and even more fun, which means we got to see all the Pokemon, too, so we got to see all the funny, silly names. I mean, the only thing I wasn't really happy about was the fact that the game crashed every time I tried to get a Pokemon. Every time I tried to catch a Pokemon, it would just crash. And also sometimes, random moves would just crash, too, which is really dumb, kind of an unstable part of this hack, but regardless, it was still very funny, and I loved it. It was great. Anyways, here's like one of the big games of the year. Me playing Persona 2 Eternal Punishment for the first time. Which, yeah. I'm probably not gonna... I might not get around to Persona 1 in 2024 because of Reload coming out. But I really wanted to play Eternal Punishment. Especially because, you know, the year before that, I played Innocent Sin around the same time. And honestly, Eternal Punishment really exceeded my expectations. Like, I was going in thinking, like, oh, it's just gonna be Innocent Sin 2. But surprisingly, I ended up finding the story and the gameplay, like, 10 times as good as Innocent Sin. Because Innocent Sin was such a brain-dead game. Like, the gameplay is so fucking easy that, like, you just end up spamming all the, like, OP spells, and, like, you're in no risk of dying. At least that's what it became, like, halfway through the game. But Eternal Punishment, on the other hand, like, sure, it was not the hardest game in the world, but it still kind of forced me to strategize, which is something that I feel like Innocent Sin kind of lacked. And also, I just, like, really liked the cast of characters. Like, the cast of characters might be my favorite from the Persona series now. I'll have to play Persona 1 still, but honestly, probably the best cast. So, if you've not played Eternal Punishment, there is a recent Japanese patch that came out, like, this year, I'm pretty sure. Or I think it was, like, back in, like, summer of 2022 or something. And I found, you know, what better timing, since I just played Innocent Sin, we could play the Japanese translation of the PSP one. And I feel like I got the best experience. I'm glad I did not play the PS1 version, because not only have I been missing out on that, all those quality of life improvements, But I would have also been missing out on, like, the brand new content that it added, because it added, like, a new dungeon and some new boss fights and stuff, which was a lot of fun. Don't mind me, I'm just taking a drink. Anyways, our next game is Paper Mario: The Origami King. Now, technically, this is more of a 2022 game, but I'm including it here because I finished it this year, technically, in, like, January or February. And my thoughts on Origami King. The battle system is fucking trash. That I'm not going to beat around the bush. But honestly, the more I played it, the more I enjoyed the world building. Like, I really love just walking around and talking to people in this game. And this was also, like, a couple series, so me and Coffee played it. And it was fun just voicing the characters, making dumb jokes, and, you know, just exploring the world and all that. That was the part that I found fun about this game. I did kind of warm up to the bosses towards the end of the game, but the normal battles were still bad, and honestly, this isn't a Paper Mario game, this is a Paper Mario exploration game, to put it simply. So I'd say if you don't care about good battle systems, I'd say Origami King's not bad. But considering that the battles are like the most important part of Mario RPGs for me, I'd say this is probably the fourth best Paper Mario game. I'd probably put this game after Super Paper Mario. That's just my opinion. I mean, to be honest, I don't think that's a hot take anymore. Like, I think generally people say this is the fourth best Paper Mario game right now. But you never know. Some lists could be different. Anyways, next game is another quickie, another short little fun game. Me and Jose played Kid Icarus at the start of the year. It was a fun little race. We were originally going to play the 3DS Classics version, but once I found out that the game crashes like halfway through the game, I decided, no, we're probably not going to get to play that version, and I decided we just play the NES one, and honestly, even though the NES one was more awkward, I still think this is a really fun game. Like, Kid Icarus is kind of like an RPG at times. Like, there's a leveling up system, and you, like, collect certain upgrades and stuff that make the gameplay more, like, bearable. And to be honest, I wasn't expecting to enjoy this game as much as I did. Like, I was just thinking, like, oh, it's that NES game that's like a prequel to Uprising or whatever, but honestly, I would love to see another Kid Icarus game in this style, with, like, the upgrade system and stuff. It's so simple, yet it's just so fun at the same time. And, this isn't the only Kid Icarus games I played this year, I'll get to the other ones, but probably the NES one might be my favorite still. I don't know. I liked Uprising, but I think there's just some simple charm about the NES one that I love that probably makes it my favorite, honestly. But, yeah. Alright, so now we have another game that kind of started in 2022, but we finished in 2023. We got Battletoads. Me and Marquise played Battletoads. And it was a balls-bustingly hard game, I'll say. But it was pretty fun. We had a lot of, like, funny reactions in that game, like just accidentally killing each other and shit. And yeah, while technically, yes, we did kind of cheat. We used, like, an infinite lives code so that we don't have to use continues and stuff. The game was still hard, even with infinite lives, and that's crazy. Like, I wonder how the fuck people managed to beat this game back in the day. I mean, probably with all that practice and stuff, right? Well, here's the thing, though, right? Battletoads wasn't really meant to be played with 2 players. I suck. Sure, we go with that, Zeppy. Also, my chat box isn't working. That's weird. Here, let me readjust it. Maybe it'll start working again. But yeah, Battletoads was still fun, even if 2-player is, like, unreasonably more difficult than single-player, it's just kind of one of those games where even though you'd think it'd be easier in multiplayer, it's actually harder. And yet, we still had fun with it, even though, like, it took us, like, half an hour to an hour per level, even though there's only, like, what, 12 levels? So we'd average, like, 3 to 4 levels per episode most of the time. But still a fun game. Marquise isn't free all that often, but, you know, when he is free, you know, it's nice to just play a chill co-op game with him. Which I'll get to that in a little bit, like in the unfinished section. Alright, next up, we have Mario Galaxy 2 with coffee. We actually started Mario Galaxy 2 in, like, November, which is why, if you go to the first episode and the second episode, my mic quality is going to sound, like, way worse in the first episode, because that was before I got my new mic, because I got my new mic in January, so, yeah. So that's when the quality got better, but we played Mario Galaxy in 2020, I believe, in December and November, and then I always told her, like, hey, I can't wait to play Mario Galaxy 2, and then we just, you know, kept holding it off because we kept getting to other games and stuff. Like, we played Origami King. No, Zebby, this is not a top 10. This is just me talking about every single game I played, so it's gonna be like a 4-hour stream. Also, yeah, the chat box isn't working, I noticed. That's weird. Whatever, it's not a big deal. But yeah, we kept getting, like, all these different games to play, like Origami King, and Origami King took, like, over half a year, so it took a while to get to Galaxy 2, and there was a bunch of other games we played, like Friday Night Funkin' and stuff like that. So it did take a while, but once we did get to Galaxy 2, I was pretty happy, because I grew up with Galaxy 2 when it came out, and it was one of the few Mario games that I actually 100%'d. Like, it's weird. I never 100%'d Galaxy 1, but I did 100% Galaxy 2, which is kind of weird, considering Galaxy 1's easier than Galaxy 2 sometimes, because, you know, Galaxy 2 has the perfect run and all that, and yet somehow I just had the patience to 100% Galaxy 2, I don't know. But it was really fun to replay it. You know, there's nothing wrong with 100%ing a 3D Mario game. That's always going to be a fun time. And, you know, it was fun to get to experience it with her again. And, you know, voicing all the characters like we did in Galaxy 1. So, yeah, that was Galaxy 2 for you. We might do Odyssey someday, but I don't know when that'll be. Anyways, we got another one-off. Metal Gear. Me and Jose played Metal Gear together this year, around January, I think. Another January game. We played this like a week or so after Kid Icarus. And personally, I played this through Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence on the PS2 with PCSX2. And the game didn't lag, thankfully, since, you know, it's a MSX game. But it's really weird. Like, people say that this Metal Gear hasn't aged very well. But honestly, Metal Gear 1 is, like, so fun for no reason. Like, it's a short game. I beat it in, like, 4 hours in, like, one sitting. But it's still, like, stupidly fun for no reason. Also, I'm gonna skip this song because Twitch claimed it last time. I don't know why. But, yeah. For, like, the game that started the Metal Gear series, I think it's held up remarkably well. Honestly, like, the only problem with the game is, like, trying to figure out which key card to use on the doors. That's, like, the only annoying thing. But collecting new items around, like, you know, the Outer Heaven and all that. I almost forgot what it was called. Collecting all the different, like, items and stuff around Outer Heaven to progress and, like, going to different floors is, like, surprisingly a lot of fun. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, Jose's footage, like, crapped out and it didn't get captured for some reason, so that's why you only see my footage. But yeah, technically me and him played it together, so it was a lot of fun. But I still kind of consider it a solo series because of, you know, technically his footage didn't get captured. It's weird. Anyways, here's a series that kind of frustrated me at times. Meme of Light. I know, quite the image, too. Yes, fucking Meme of Light. This stupid-ass, World of Light mod that has a bunch of meme spirits. I mean, from a coding perspective, it's honestly really impressive, because they changed every single spirit battle in the game to accommodate a separate meme. Like, you know, you're fighting, I don't know, what's a good example? You're fighting Robbie Rotten, and you're fighting like 4 Bowsers, for example, I think it was, or something. Like, the novelty was really funny at first, but because of the way... Yes, Rick Astley probably was a legend spirit. Yeah, Robbie Ron with Sanic, Trollface, Rickroll, and Neon Cat. Like, I'll be honest, like, it was funny at first, but the novelty wore off, like, really fucking quickly, just because of how goddamn tedious and long World of Light is normally. So, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if it was even the mod's fault. It was just World of Light being stupidly long, as it is in vanilla. Because you play World of Light long enough, you just get so fucking burnt out. Like, I don't know. I don't care who you are, but if you have to have played World of Light at some point and gone, like, burnt out just because of how many fucking battles you have to do. Like, it's just a gauntlet of endless battles. Subspace Emissary Meme Edition could be an interesting... At that point, just do like a repainted or something. Yeah. There were still some funny, like, spirit battles, even in the end game, but by the time I got to, like, the end of the Dark World... Actually, I know what happened. We got almost to the end of the Dark World, and therefore almost the end of the game. And then Zach fucking made us replay through the whole goddamn game again because there were new spirits. And I still fucking hate him for that because I had to sit through World of Light twice. And that's just too much. And most of the meme battles were like repeats, so we were watching the same shit again, just for like a couple new battles here and there. And then, not to mention, the final battle kept crashing on us, so we didn't even get to see the damn ending. So, Meme of Light was great, but it really overstayed its welcome. Considering the fact that it took us, like... It took us until, like, September, October to fucking finish it. It's like 10 months, bruh. Yeah. It was great at first, but, yeah. It was too long. Now, on a game that stayed too long, but not in a negative way, we have Wario Land 3, which is probably one of the best Wario games I've ever played, next to Shake It, probably. Probably my second favorite Wario Land game next to Shake It, if we don't count Wario World, because I do like Wario World, too. So, you would not really know what to expect going in with Wario Land 3, but Wario Land 3 is actually a Metroidvania, which I remember hearing for the first time, like, 2 or 3 years ago, and going like, how the fuck do you make a Metroidvania out of Wario? And, much to my surprise, it works way better than you'd think. Because Wario, basically what he has to do is there's like 20-ish levels that you go to, and you end up revisiting over and over. And the thing is that every few levels or so, Wario gets a new upgrade to his kit, basically, let's just say. So, let's say you beat level 3, Wario gets, like, a new butt stomp move or whatever, that makes him go through, like, a second tier of blocks that you couldn't go through before. Suddenly, that opens up, like, a secret in another level. And the great thing is that the game is always really clear about where you need to go, but not what you need to do, which is one thing I really like. So there's still like a sense of discovery and mystery to the game, but the game kind of directs you on like where it thinks you should go, basically. And, you know, I ended up loving this game so much that I actually 100%ed it, including the stupid golf mini game, which apparently not a lot of people like, but I basically did everything in this game, maybe except for the time trials, but as far as I'm concerned, I 100%ed this game because I got the clear screen, with Wario doing the thumbs up. And honestly, yeah, I freaking loved this game. This game was so much fun, and it was also a surprisingly long Wario game, too. It took me like 20 to 25 hours to get through, at least for 100%ing it. So yeah, it's probably going to be my longest Wario game ever, and probably nothing's going to even come close. And you know what? That's what I loved about it. My only problem is with Wario Land 3 is that, you know, it just sometimes has some, like, really cryptic shit in it. But you know what? I think every Metroidvania has stuff like that, so I'm not really gonna like, get too mad about that. Besides the fact that I had to look stuff up a few times, but that's just me getting lost and being dumb, probably. So, yeah. And speaking of Wario Land, this January, I'm also going to start up Wario Land 2, because, you know, I'm going in backwards order. We're going to do Wario Land 2. So that'll be the next series on my channel, probably, before Persona 3 Reload comes out. Like, I'm probably going to do a bunch of, like, smaller series, maybe, because, you know, I got to do stuff before Reload comes out. So yeah, expect a Wario Land 2 playthrough, and it probably won't be as long as Wario Land 3. Anyways, here's another game we finished this year, but technically started in 2022. We got LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga with Aaron, which is, so far this is the only game that me and him have done a co-op on, but it was a really fun one. Because I actually owned Complete Saga as a kid on the Wii, and, you know, that's the version we played. We played the Wii version. We could have played the Steam version, but nah, bro, Wii version is, like, the most nostalgic to me. And, you know, I grew up playing it, but I never 100%ed it for myself. And, oh boy, this game, it took almost an entire year for us to 100%. You know, lots of weeks of just playing the game, doing it a few levels at a time, and we eventually were able to beat it, which is definitely one of the more satisfying games I've 100%ed this year. And obviously, you know, credit to Aaron too, because he helped out a lot with, you know, being my my player too, basically. And you know, it kind of makes me, you know, want to do another co-op series like this with him in the future. We might do like LEGO Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars or something. I don't know. I've never played that one actually, so that'd be pretty much a new game. So yeah, might do that in the future, but I should actually probably watch the Clone Wars first before I play that, because otherwise I won't get it. But yeah, it's interesting. This game is like pretty timeless, because, you know, LEGO is timeless, so it holds up well like 20 years later. What was it, 15 years later? Whenever Complete Saga came out. And yeah, it's still as fun as it was like 15 years ago when I played it. Alright, next game, we have another quickie. We have DDR Mario Mix. You know, I've always heard about DDR Mario Mix, and it was a game that I actually wanted to play like a year before that. But basically, I wanted to play this game during my Friday Night Funkin' craze. You guys remember back in like 2021, I played a bunch of Friday Night Funkin' mods and stuff. And, you know, now that even though Friday Night Funkin' is like dead now, I still kind of had that, you know, Dance Revolution dancing game, you know, urge, I guess you could say. And I've always heard about this game and I wanted to play it, so I decided to finally play it. And, I mean, I played it with a keyboard, and it wasn't very responsive. I know you're supposed to play with the mat that it comes with, but obviously I don't have the mat. Although maybe you can set that up, I don't know. Either way, it was a two-parter. I basically played through the game twice, you know, one on normal mode and one on hard mode with the new songs. And, you know, it was just a pretty fun, chill game. You know, even though it was, like, baby mode in terms of, like, dancing and stuff, I still had fun with it. And I'm glad I got to experience it, because some of the music in it's, like, fire, obviously, and I even put some of it in Smash and my Spotify playlist. See, I'd say give DDR Mario Mix a try. Hell, I'd love to see them make a new one. Make a new Mario DDR game. Alright, now we got, actually one of my favorite games from this year. We have, Panel to Pawn. You know, I wasn't expecting to love this game as much as I did. I mean, considering the fact that, you know, I put a bunch of the music in Smash, I had, like, a Panel to Pawn PFP at one point for, like, a few months. Yeah, it's safe to say that I really loved this game. And I played it back in, like, February, I think. And, you know, it was just kind of, like, you know, a fun puzzle game, because I wanted to try it out. And, you know, it was enjoyable enough. And I ended up beating the game and being like, wow, that was a good puzzle game. And then I found out about, like, a week or so later that, uh-oh, I didn't get the true ending. I gotta play the game on hard mode and not die. Which is what I ended up doing about a month or so later. And I ended up falling in love with the game even more, because, believe it or not, I just felt bad. Like, I felt so terrible about not getting the bad ending, which is not something I mean, I guess, yeah, it's kind of natural to feel that, but it's weird. It's like a funny little puzzle fairy game is making me feel things. It's making me, like, be like, oh god, I didn't save the fairies, you know? So I ended up playing the game about a month later, and I ended up, like, loving it twice as much when I played it on hard mode, and, like, becoming really good at it. And I just ended up loving the characters even more, and it was really satisfying to fight the true final boss, because, you know, what was her name? I forgot her name. Cordelia, yeah. Cordelia has, like, a really fucking banging theme song. If you've never heard Cordelia's boss theme in Panel to Pawn, like, holy shit, it goes hard. I recommend it. And yeah, I can safely say that, like, Panel to Pawn is one of my favorite puzzle games. Although, I haven't played it in a while, so I'm kind of ass at the game now. Like, puzzle games, sometimes if you just don't play them enough, you just become, like, really, you become so rusty at it. It's weird. Like, I ended up playing it on, Switch Online on Zeppy's side, and I was fucking terrible. I couldn't score combos for shit. And then, yeah, I don't know if I'll return to Panel to Pawn anytime soon, but I'm really happy to have gotten to experience it, and it's just kind of like a relic of its time, because I don't think Nintendo's ever going to bring it back, but I love Panel to Pawn, and it's a great series. On the topic of puzzle games, though, we have Dr. Mario 64, which, you know, I've known about Dr. Mario 64 for a long time, obviously. I don't know why I'm saying obviously. I act like people know that. I remember watching videos... Oh, sorry, I hit my bottle. I remember watching videos of Dr. Mario 64 back in the day, and I always thought it looked kind of cool because, like, oh, you got Wario, you got Dr. Mario, you got all these weird guys. Yes, this is in order. You got all these weird guys. You got, like, this mad scientist guy who's actually the mad scientist from Wario Land 3. You got Rudy the Clown from Wario Land 3. Now, I believe it or not, actually, one of the main reasons I wanted to play Dr. Mario 64 is because I recently beat Wario Land 3. Because, believe it or not, Dr. Mario 64 is a really strange game. Because 90% of its cast is from Wario Land 3 of all things. Which is so weird. And if I'm not mistaken, this wasn't made by Nintendo of Japan. This was made by... Or maybe it was, but it was never released in Japan at first. They only released it in America and Europe, and then later it released in Japan on the GameCube. Which is so strange. But it's a strange game, and it's also Dr. Mario, which is a lot of fun. And it has a story mode, which I think more puzzle games need. I think every puzzle game needs a really unnecessarily good story mode. Probably half the reason why I love Puyo Puyo so much is because it has an unnecessarily good story mode, and it just has a fun cast of characters. And, you know, this game also has a fun cast of characters. And even though I'm kind of bad at Dr. Mario, you know, I don't like Dr. Mario as much as Tetris or Panel to Pawn or Puyo Puyo, it's still a lot of fun. even though I got my ass kicked a bunch. I think I played on hard mode. But it was a fun time, and you know, you could technically play this game with 4 players, which would be kind of crazy too. So if you want to play Dr. Mario with 3 other guys, you know, Dr. Mario 64's got you covered, I guess. Anyways, here we have Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition. I mean, the Special Edition isn't really important because, you know, that's the version that everybody gets these days. But I played Devil May Cry 1 and 2 back in 2022. Yeah, I said 2 twice. And, you know, I'm pretty sure I played DMC 2 in, like, November. So I actually jumped into DMC 3, like, surprisingly quick. Because I was like, well, DMC 2 was kind of lame, kind of underwhelming. And I wanted to play, you know, what a lot of people consider to be the best DMC game. So I was like, well, I gotta play DMC 3. And I don't feel like waiting, like, another 5 months to play it, so I just decided to start it in January. So, going in, I was not expecting it to be, like, as good as it was. Okay, I need to stop saying that. That's getting old. I need to word it differently to make it sound fresh. Well, I played Devil May Cry 1, and Devil May Cry 1 was fucking hard. But I loved how hard it was. Like, I died over and over, and I was just like, man, this game's fun. I can't wait to finally beat that boss or that level, you know? And Devil May Cry 2 wasn't like that. Devil May Cry 2 was, like, balls easy. I barely died ever. And most of the game was just you shooting with the guns. And then Devil May Cry 3 comes along, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is more like DMC 1 now. And, you know, it was nice to also finally hear, Dante with his current voice actor too, Ruben Langdon. And I was like, oh yeah, this is the Dante that I know from Smash Universe. This is the Dante that everybody knows and likes. And the game felt even better to play it in DMC 1, which just made it that much more enjoyable. And the great thing is that it also brought back the challenge of DMC 1. Hell, I'd even say at times, DMC 3 was harder. Like, I think some people still say DMC 3 is the hardest one. And, yeah, I can definitely see. I mean, mostly with the fucking first boss of the game, Cerberus. Cerberus was so hard. Like, I died to him for, like, half an hour before I finally beat him. And once I finally did, I was like, oh yeah, I know I'm gonna love this game. And, you know, the rest of the bosses weren't easy either. Like, I think I died to every single boss at least once. Especially, like, the Virgil bosses. The Virgil bosses were so fun, yet so challenging and so rewarding. I never did end up doing the Virgil mode of this game. Maybe that's something I can do someday if I run out of games to play, but I'm not itching to go back to DMC 3 anytime soon, but it's nice that it's there, you know, you can play as Virgil. It is the first game that you get to play as him in, too. And also the music was fire. Like, DMC 1 and 2 had great soundtracks, but DMC 3, you know, I loved how they started adding vocals into the music, like Cerberus, Taste the Blood, Divine Hate. They all had, like, amazing lyrics, and, you know, it made the game just that much more memorable, and I still listen to the music to this day. Like, even though it's only been, like, a year, I still listen to the music, because it's just that good. So yeah, that was DMC 3. I gave it a pretty good rating. Anyways, after DMC 3, or I think around the time I was playing DMC 3, I played Wario World. And not just any version of Wario World. I played it with a 4K texture pack in widescreen. And it was kind of funny, because I had, like, that... Like, I finished Wario Land 3, and I was like, you know, I kind of want to play some more Wario, because I don't want to wait another year to do another Wario game. And I figured it was too soon to do Wario Land 2, and I wasn't really in the mood for Wario Land 2. But I was in the mood for Wario World, because I had never played Wario World in a long time. Like, I think the last time I played Wario World was, like... I honestly don't remember, but I know it was a long time ago, back when I used to still play games legit on my Wii and GameCube. So it had to have been a really long time ago. And it's also the first time that I technically 100%ed Wario World. I tried to 100% Wario World on the GameCube back in the day, but I ended up missing a treasure, and I ended up not getting all of the gold trophies. Like the gold Wario trophies, and I think I also got all the red diamonds on my playthrough too, right? I think so. So, it just felt extra rewarding to, like, get literally everything in Wario World. And, you know, it's not a long game. It took me, like, 6 hours to beat. Much shorter than Wario Land 3, anyway. But I didn't really care about that. It was just dumb fun, playing as Wario, the only 3D Wario game that there'll ever be. You know, if they decide to make a new Wario platformer, I don't really care if it's 3D or 2D. I just would love to see Wario get a 2D game, or just a game again, because I don't really give a shit about WarioWare. WarioWare is fine, but like, man, I want to go beat the shit out of people and like get treasures again. That's what Wario is to me. That's what I like about it. Alright, so now we have another short game, but a cute short game. We got Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. Now, I played Dreamland 3, like, I think it was in 2021, right? I think so. I ended up playing Dreamland 3 for the first time, and I ended up thinking it was pretty fun. And then I ended up playing Return to Dreamland, like, the year after. And I thought, like, what's gonna be my Kirby quota for this year? What kind of Kirby games are we gonna be playing? And, well, I thought, I haven't played 64 yet, and, you know, Kirby 64 is a pretty good game, so why not play Kirby 64? And, you know, it was a pretty fun game. It wasn't as frustrating as Dreamland 3, but it still got me thinking a lot. It still, like, had me solving puzzles and stuff, and it was fun getting all the crystal shards and beating the final boss and all that. So, even though it was not a long game, and it was definitely a lot shorter than Dreamland 3, definitely recommend Kirby 64. I had a lot of fun with it. And I liked the cast of characters, you know, like, it's fun being able to play as DDD, and, you know, Adeline's also one of my favorite Kirby characters, and it also has some of the best music in the series, too. So, I love Kirby 64. You know, even though I never played until this year, I've always just found it a great, whimsical game because of the music and just how unique it is compared to all the... And, you know, I forgot to even mention, like, the combos. Like, all the combining abilities and stuff. I feel like it wasn't as unique, or what am I trying to say? I feel like it wasn't nearly as cool as people make it out to be, because some of the combined abilities were just kind of like lame, like, oh, I fireworks, or oh, a melting snowman or something. Some of them were kind of lame, but there were some fairly useful ones. Like, I think I ended up using the flame sword a lot, just because it had like amazing reach or whatever. Oh yeah, that wasn't the only Kirby game I played this year. I'll get to the other one much later. Forgot to tab out of Chrome. This one I won't really have a whole lot to say on, but we have the Mario 64 randomizer. To be honest, I don't know if I'll go back to this, but I still have it. I still have the Kirby 64 randomizer, or Kirby. Yeah, the combined abilities and Star Allies is a thing, but it's not quite the same. It's more like giving your abilities elements than actually making brand new abilities. But yeah, I watched videos about Mario 64 Randomizer, and, you know, I thought maybe it could be fun, and I decided to try it out because I thought maybe it could be fun, but I don't know what it was. I just probably wasn't, like, feeling in the mood that day, because I ended up just getting frustrated, and I ended up, like, stopping the stream, and then I never ended up going back to it, so, like, maybe I could give Mario 64 Randomizer another chance, but I don't know. To be honest, it doesn't really seem like my kind of rando, because most of the time, it was just, like, they just put, like, stars in random locations, like, there's random bullshit all over the levels. I guess sometimes the skyboxes got randomized, and same with the music. But I feel like there isn't really too much you can actually randomize about Mario 64 to make it interesting enough for me. So, yeah. Don't know if I'll be coming back to this one, but hey, if there's any other, like, cool randos that come out, I might give them a try, because, you know, I'm the rando guy. I like to try out new randos and stuff. Alright, so next up, we have the Great Ace Attorney Adventures, which, speaking of which, I will be playing the sequel at some point. I stopped the stream, I rage quitted. Yeah, I guess so. Now, it's kind of funny because I've never played an Ace Attorney game before. Even though I watched Ace Attorney all the time as a kid, I never ended up getting around to playing the games. Probably because by that point I'd seen the stories of all of them and thought to myself like, oh, it would be that fun if I played Ace Attorney because I know what's gonna happen. However, Great Ace Attorney was kind of that, how to say, it was kind of that lucky chance for me, because Great Ace Attorney 1 and 2 were the only Ace Attorney games that I've never seen the stories for. So I figured now would finally be the perfect time to actually play an Ace Attorney game for myself. And yeah, it was fucking great. Like, and I still have to play the second one, which I heard is even better. If I enjoyed the first one that much, and the second one is apparently better, like, oof, I'm gonna have a lot to enjoy. I'm gonna have a lot to look forward to. I think the reason why I never really gave Great Ace Attorney a chance is because of how vastly different the setting is. Because, like, I always loved the Ace Attorney series because, like, oh, you know, you get to play as Phoenix Wright and Apollo Justice and fighting off against, like, Edgeworth and stuff, you know? And, you know, I love that cast of characters a lot. And, you know, that's what Ace Attorney is to me. But, like, then here comes along Great Ace Attorney. It's like, oh, who's this guy? That's not Phoenix. You know? And those were my initial thoughts when seeing Great Ace Attorney. And I was like, that's not gonna be good. It doesn't have Phoenix in it. And I ended up changing my mind so goddamn fast when I played the game. I was like, oh man, Ryunosuke's so cool. And, you know, the thing is that despite there not being the cast of characters from the main Ace Attorney games, they feel like equivalents in a way. Like, Ryunosuke, you know, he's basically Phoenix. Susato, she's basically Maya. But, like, even though they fill the roles of those characters, they're still different, like, they still have different personalities. So they aren't the same character, yet they fill that role, and they just kind of make you smile. And yeah, there was basically no bad characters in the game, and I basically loved every second of it. Like, yeah, I basically just said don't judge a book by its cover, pretty much. And I loved all the characters. It was also fun getting to voice everybody, even though, like, my voice died every time I had to do, like, what were the voices? Like, I died every time I had to do Iris and Barak Van Zeeks and stuff. Like, it was a fun vocal workout, I guess. And the great thing is that, you know, I still have the second game to look forward to. Don't know when I'll play it, though, because, you know, I'm going to be getting the Reload in February, so I probably won't have time to go through Great Ace Attorney 2 that fast, because this was a long game. It took me like 40 to 50 hours to get through, which is it's pretty good length for a game, in my opinion. It was like 20 episodes, I think. Lots of fun, though, and I can't wait to meet all the new characters and revisit the old ones in the second game. So yeah, I think this might be my new favorite Ace Attorney game now, but I still have to get to number 2, which, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if number 2 ends up being my favorite. Alright, next up we have Mega Man 4 for Game Boy. Hold up. Might as well just do the fit the screen every time. Mega Man 4 for Game Boy, otherwise known as Mega Man World 4, is the sequel to Mega Man World 3 on Game Boy. And I loved playing Mega Man World 3, although I kind of played it at like a rough point during that time, during my year, because I was sick while playing it, so I didn't really feel that well. And I ended up kind of getting frustrated at Mega Man 3 at times. And somehow it ended up taking me 3 episodes to get through. I don't know what the hell happened there. Like, it just took me like 6 hours or something crazy. And yet, with Mega Man World 4, I ended up beating it in under 3 hours. So, honestly, I don't know what I did differently, but 2 to 3 hours is more of a normal time for a classic Mega Man game. Now, the interesting thing about Mega Man World 4 is that you'd think it would just follow up what Mega Man World 3 did, right? But surprisingly, no, because of all games to introduce the mechanic, this game had a shop in it. So you could actually buy, like, lives and upgrades from the shop. Like, this was like a full year or two before Mega Man 7 came out. Like, I think this game was 1993, so it would have been 2 years. So, for those of you who think Mega Man 7 did the shop first, no, Mega Man World 4, of all things, did it. And I also really liked Ballade. Ballade was a pretty cool guy. I liked that he, spoilers, sacrifices himself at the end of the game. I definitely wasn't expecting that. Even though I've fought Ballade in Mega Man 10 and I've known about him for a long time, I somehow never knew that he sacrifices himself. So, just kind of adds that extra bit of character to him. And, good lord, this Mega Man game, it killed it with the soundtrack. Like, it's on a Game Boy, and it has a soundtrack this badass. Like, if you listen to either Ballade's theme, the Wily Station stage song, or hell, my favorite song from the game, the Wily Castle boss, or I think it's called the Wily Station boss or something. Not only did that boss have a fucking badass design, but it had like one of the best ass songs in the game. Like, I've never heard such an amazing piece of chiptune music in my life, but if you've somehow never heard the Mega Man World 4 final boss music, you gotta listen to that right now, because it's so epic for no reason. And, you know, I love when Mega Man is just epic for no reason. That's probably why I like Mega Man 8 so much, because it's just an epic game, and it's very ambitious. Mega Man World 4 is ambitious for different reasons, but it was really fun. I can't wait to play Mega Man 5, Mega Man World 5, probably this year as well. Alright, now we have a funny game. Sorry for the quality. We have, Book of Mario, Thousands of Doors. I couldn't find a better picture for this, so you'll just have to deal with this crusty image. I remember watching Book of Mario, like, I don't know how long Book of Mario was now, but that was obviously how I discovered Fat Guy 703. And I remember finding it, like, the funniest shit. It still is. And it was kind of how I got the inspiration to do my Superstar Saga hard mode. Well, yeah, it was the inspiration, but I just thought to myself, like, taking the script A Thousand Year Door and making it, like, offensive and funny and poorly translated is just hilarious to me. And all of, like, the somehow, like, innuendos and stuff. It's just a funny experience that you need to see at least once in your life. So if there's anybody here who hasn't played or seen Book of Mario, you definitely can. If you want to watch it, Fat Guy's probably the best person to watch it from. But you know, if you want to watch it from me instead, that'd be nice too. Alright, but yeah, that was fun. It was also great getting all my friends along to laugh at it with me. Oh yeah, so now we have the follow-up to Panel the Pawn. I think it's just called Panel the Pawn, but I call it Panel the Pawn 64 for simplicity reasons. This is probably one of the most elusive games I've ever played. Because, it was actually really hard to find an English translation for this game. Like, I kind of just found a random video that had an English translation, and I think, like, in the description, he had like, a Google Drive or Mega or something to, like, the translation, and I downloaded it, and I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna play some Panel the Pawn 64 now. The only thing is that I just find this Panel the Pawn way more forgettable than the first one. Like, it's a cool game, but it has, like, really awkward, like, 3D environments. And it just feels, like, super stiff in comparison to Panel the Pawn on the SNES. And the thing, and I don't know. I feel bad for saying, like, negative things about this game, because, like, I like what it's trying to do. And it still has the fun Panel the Pawn gameplay. But, like, probably my biggest problem is that, like, they tried to, like, soft reboot the franchise by adding an entirely new cast of characters. Even though a lot of the characters look similar, and that's kind of the problem, is it's like they're redesigning the characters, but they're giving them new names. So, like, you have Feral, which is, like, just Lip, but, like, oh, her hair is slightly different, and she has, like, slightly different earrings and stuff. And, like, if you compare Feral and Lip, like, an expert, or not an expert, like, a noob probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. They think they're the same character, but nope. Feral is a different character. And so are all the other characters. Like, you have, okay, well, I will admit, some of the characters have a different design. Like, Think is like Sherbet, but, like, she looks more like a tomboy. She's got, like, this weird hair and, like, shorts and all that. So, like, some of the designs are different enough. And they did add some new characters, like, I forget what his name is, but he's, like, the sun guy or something. There was a sun guy, and he was like the only male fairy in the cast. And strangely enough, they gave Cordelia and Thanatos redesigns. I'm not sure why they did that either. So they kept some of the characters. Like, they kept Thanatos and Cordelia, even though Cordelia is, like, a fake created by, like, the Three Witches, which I never even got to fight because the only way you get to fight the Three Witches is by playing on hard mode without dying, and I never ended up doing that, because I already did, like, a few playthroughs of the game, because Panel the Pawn 64 is just way easier than Panel the Pawn. It's weird. Like, I played on normal, and that was too easy. I played on hard mode, and that was about the equivalent of normal mode in Panel the Pawn SNES. And then I played on very hard, and then it was, like, a difficulty spike. Then it was too hard. It's weird. There was no, like, balance. And the music was also just really weak in comparison. Like, it's strange. You'd think, like, with N64 MIDIs, they would sound really good, but they're just, like, less good remasters of the SNES songs. And the new songs that are there just don't really work. It's weird. Okay, I will admit, okay, there are some bangers. Like, Thanatos and Joker's theme are actually really good. Well, probably the only few songs from this game that I like. Although I will admit I do end up catching myself singing, Think's theme, and, what was her name? Farina, I think? Farina's a Genshin Impact character. The Fire Girl, I forgot her name, the Fire Fairy. It was like a slightly different name from Flare, but she had a slightly different variation of Flare's theme from Panel the Pawn, and sometimes I catch myself singing that song too. But despite that all, it's not a bad game, and if you want a good Panel the Pawn game for 64, just go play Pokemon Puzzle League, because Puzzle League's literally just this game, but with a Pokemon reskin. So you can go play that if you want. Alright, next up we have my April Fool's game. Link the Faces of Evil. I know, pretty crazy, right? Yes, I ended up playing Link the Faces of Evil as an April Fool's joke, and somehow I was able to beat it in 2 hours. I don't know how the fuck I did it. I didn't realize Faces of Evil was that short of a game. And I mostly just played it for the novelty and getting to experience the cutscenes for myself. By the way, I played the remaster, which is faster and has widescreen, so that might be why it took 2 hours. And it just has like lots of quality of life stuff. So it actually makes Faces of Evil low-key a good game. Which I can't believe I'm saying that. Like, I actually had fun with Face of Evil, and that's not irony. I actually thought it was fun. Like, I thought there were some good puzzles in it at times. And the quality of life improvements just, actually made it a decent game. And it shows that, Faces of Evil could have been good if they had given it all those quality of life stuff that it needed. And, probably I'm gonna play Wand of Gamelon at some point. That might be my April Fool's joke of 2024, I don't know. Although, it'd be kind of lame if I repeated the same April Fool's joke again. Oh, here comes the Panel of Pawn music after I stopped talking about Panel of Pawn. Okay, well, we got another puzzle game we could talk about. We got Puyo Puyo for the Genesis, which is actually one of my favorite Puyo Puyo games, strangely enough. I think it's probably because of the music, to be honest. But Puyo Puyo, the original, it's another one of those games of its era, which is what I really like about it, because it has that, I think it's an 80s, it's a 90s game. It has that 90s anime art style that I love. It goes for, like, the chibi style in the cutscenes. And I just think it's a really beautiful game for Genesis. Even though it would later get rebranded as Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine in the West, which, don't get me wrong, I do still like Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. I don't think it beats out Puyo Puyo though, after me playing the Genesis one so much. And crazy thing is, I actually played this game 3 times in one stream and beat it. I beat it on the hardest difficulty, which I've never actually done before. And surprisingly, I didn't have that much trouble with it. Like, I'm not amazing at Puyo Puyo or anything, but I can pull off a 4 or 5 chain combo here and there, and, it's a lot of fun. And I just love the cast of the old compile Puyo Puyo games. Plus the music goes hard. Probably one of the best Puyo Puyo soundtracks. Because, I don't know, sometimes I don't really like the whole, like, cutesy synth techno music that they go for in modern Puyo Puyo games. Genesis Puyo Puyo isn't afraid to, like, go, to more, rock metal categories. I mean, I guess new Puyo Puyo does kind of have songs like that here and there, but it kind of gets drowned out by all the, like, cute synthy music, which, don't get me wrong, is good, but I do like me the Genesis soundtrack. Definitely one of the best versions of the first game, because there are a lot of versions of Puyo Puyo 1. There's, like, the SNES one. Yeah, Saiyans theme. Saiyans theme is, like, the best song in the whole series. Nothing ever comes close. But yeah, like, there's the SNES version, there's the PC versions, there's the arcade version. There's a lot of versions of Puyo Puyo, but the Genesis one, it's just the best, in my opinion. That's the one I'll always go back to, honestly. Alright, now we have Touhou 6, also known as Touhou Komakyo Embodiment of Scarlet Devil. This was my first real Touhou game. Now, I did technically play Luna Knights back in 2022, but that was a fan game, not an official Zune game. This is the actual first bullet hell Touhou game I've played, and oh man, did it kick my ass. It kicked my ass so hard. I was not ready. I was not ready for the game. And then I found out, like, 5 episodes in that I was playing with 1 life and no bombs the whole time. And I was wondering why the game was so hard. Then I ended up playing with 3 lives and 3 bombs, and realizing, like, hey, this game's not too hard. Then I ended up playing, then I ended up trying to do a no continue run, and that's when the game became hard again. Because I had to rely on using 5 lives and maximum bombs. And yes, I know I still never beat Flandre, and at this point I don't know if I ever will, but to me, it just felt so satisfying being Remilia without using continue that I really did feel like I beat the game. And Flandre's just kind of a bonus, like she's like the super boss. If you can beat her, you can beat her, but it's not a requirement in my opinion. But I really loved Touhou 6, and this is where I really started to fall in love with Touhou. Like, I mean, I really mean it, considering the fact that I have a Fumo of Marissa on my bed. And, you know, there are more Fumos to come, and I love I think Touhou 6 probably does have the best cast, because every character is memorable in some way. I mean, obviously, Rumia, she's cute, she's trying to kill you, she's trying to eat you alive. Cirno, she's funky, she's Mimi. It's a requirement for the good ending. Cirno is like the funkiest fairy you'll ever meet. Cirno is great. Mei Ling, you know, I think everybody wants to be crushed by Mei Ling's thighs. I think that's a requirement. Mei Ling's great. Patchouli, she's cute. I like her books. You know, I feel bad every time I kill her because she's always complaining about her anemia. Sakia is a good maid. We love Sakia. She throws knives at people. And Remilia is the best character in the game because she's a cute little vampire lady who drinks wine. Yeah, I feel like not everybody remembers Mei Ling, but I do. And then there's Flandre, who's psychotic vampire lolly that everybody likes. So yeah. And hey, I never ended up doing a full Reimu playthrough, so that's always an option. Alright, next game is Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake for the MSX, which is a pretty good game. It's like, honestly, you could call this game Metal Gear Solid Zero if you wanted to, because that's pretty much it. Yes, I guess I could have brought up Daiosei and Kamakuma too, right? They're cute too, I like them. So yeah, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, quite the contrast. Quite the contrast to, Touhou, anyway. Me and Jose started this game, and it went on for a little while, because it's a much longer game than, Metal Gear 1. I mean, I did end up splitting it up into a bunch of parts, because, you know, it kinda needs that, since... Oh, excuse me. Since it was longer, we had to do multiple streams of it, so I figured at that point I might as well just make it like 40 to 60 minute episodes. So there ended up being quite a few, like, episodes on it for that series. And it did surprise me just how many features of this game ended up in Metal Gear Solid. Like, I saw the building blocks of Metal Gear Solid in this game, and yet it was still able to stand out and do its own thing. There were frustrating points of this game, like some of the puzzles kind of sucked ass, and like some of the backtracking sucked, but the music was great, loved the atmosphere, the story got a whole lot better compared to Metal Gear 1, and I mean, that's all I really have to say, it's just great. Yeah, I don't know what actually else to say, but just know it was fun, and I'm glad I got to experience Metal Gear 2. Oh right, I remembered what I wanted to say. It's the game that gave us the Smug Fox. The Smug Fox is hilarious, and he laughs at you every time you die. Metal Gear 1 spoiled Phantom Pain. Oh yeah, I know about that, but I don't really care because I'm not gonna play Phantom Pain for a while. Alright, next up we have Mega Man X1, which technically me and Jose did a race on, but it wasn't very fair, to say the least, considering I'm pretty good at X1. I've played it a fair amount of times. Considering the fact that the year prior, or I guess the years prior, I'd played X4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and another game that we'll get to this year, actually. Considering I played all the PlayStation Mega Man X games, I figured it was only fair that we played the SNES ones as well. So that's exactly what we did this year. We played all of the SNES Mega Man X games. And of course, we started out with X1, so the order that I played the X games in is really fucking weird. Like, I started with X5, X6, X7, X8, and somewhere in the middle there we played X4, and then we went back to X1. I think probably the reason for that is because I didn't have any, like, cool mods for X1, and I didn't really have any big reason to go back to X1. But I figured doing a race with Jose was a good enough reason for me to play X1 again. And, you know, X1 is still as fun as I remembered it being back in the day when I played it. When I say back in the day, I don't really mean that far back, because I last played X1 like 3 or 4 years ago, not that long ago. At the latest, I probably played it sometime back in like grade 9 or 10 or something, I think. And I think that's around the time I started playing Mega Man X anyway. I think I played it in like grade 7 or 8 or something. So I've been playing Mega Man X for a long ass time. But yeah, Mega Man X1 is still fun. It's a nice short game that I can beat in like a couple hours. And still holds up, and the music's banging. Gotta mention that every time. Alright, next up we have the next couple series, which was me and Coffee playing Super Paper Mario. I know Super Paper Mario is her favorite game in this series, which is most of the reason why I actually wanted to replay Super, because I know she loves it a lot, and it does have one of the best stories in Paper Mario. Like, I think from a story standpoint, Super probably is my favorite, but I think the gameplay of the first two games is best. Yes, couple series. When I say couple, I mean me and Coffee as a couple. Yeah, I know. But it was really fun revisiting Super Paper Mario, because believe it or not, I've never actually played the game all the way through. My mom did. My mom played Super Paper Mario for me as a kid, and I never really got to see any of the story sequences until I was older. So most of the time when I was playing Super Paper Mario, I was mostly just fucking around exploring like older levels and like doing the Pit of 100 trials and stuff, because she never did that. So that was my experience with Super Paper Mario, so I never actually experienced the story. I did end up seeing the story later on YouTube, when I watched a bunch of, you know, some of my favorite YouTubers play it. And I eventually, you know, finally got around to playing it with her, and, you know, getting to voice the story, and it was a lot of fun. And the gameplay is still great. Super Paper Mario's probably got, you know, the third best gameplay in the series. Now, when I rank my Paper Mario games, I'm usually ranking them based on gameplay, like how fun they are. So, which is why I think TTYD's at the top, Paper Mario is a extremely close second, and then Super is like third. It's because it's really fun. It's really fun just like jumping off enemies and comboing them, and getting like a high score, and then leveling up afterwards. That's the fun of the game to me. Sorry that my bottle's so noisy. I don't know why it squeaks like that. It's weird. Hopefully not a big deal. But yeah, I'm glad I got to do everything in this game too. Like, I got to do both of the Pit of 100 trials. Never did the Sammer Kingdom, but like that's not a big deal. You're not really missing out on much. Just like a few partner cards from Thousand Year Door. So yeah, very great game. Glad I got to play it again, and it's still as emotional as ever. Alright, we're hopping right back into Mega Man X again, with Mega Man X2, which is probably my least favorite X game in the series, next to X7. That might be a hot take, I don't know. It's not that it's a bad game, because X7's a bad game. X2's a good game, but I don't know. If I had to do like a tier or something, like X7 and X2 would be like at least 2 or 3 tiers apart from each other. But it would still be my second least favorite game. I think probably because I find that X2 doesn't have, like, the most amazing soundtrack. Like, there are some good songs, but not every song is the best. Probably just because I don't really like the sound font of X2, I'm gonna be honest. It's still fun. Like, I love dash boots letting you do air dashing, which is just kind of a normal thing in X these days, so the upgraded dash boots don't really feel a lot special in X2. The double charge shot's pretty cool, and other than that, that's really the only thing that's going for the armor in this game. And I find that the Mavericks are just a lot weaker than X1 anyway, and I don't really care that much for the X-Hunters, although the X-Hunter song is amazing, though. That's one of the best songs in the entire series, so it's kind of weird that I say that this is my second least favorite. I don't know, it's not my favorite game to route in. I just don't really enjoy going for everything in it, even though I do that in every X game. Hard to say. And I was also feeling kind of bummed out because Jose wasn't having fun, so I didn't even get his footage, so I feel like X2 is just kind of a pointless one, in my opinion. I just wasn't really as satisfied with it as X1 and X3 as well, which we'll get to later. Alright, now we have another one of my favorite games from this year, Metroid Prime Remastered, which, you know, funnily enough, is actually a game that came out this year. Or, actually, a game that came out in 2023? I don't know why I started. Yeah. I've never played Metroid Prime before, and I figured with the remaster coming out and everything, I figured this will be the absolutely perfect time to get into Metroid Prime. And oh my god, Prime Remastered is such a gorgeous game. I honestly can't believe they went out of their way to remaster it. Like, they really could have just taken the easy route and just ported over the trilogy from the Wii. But no, the fact that they went out of their way to completely redo all the graphics, you can tell a lot of passion went into the remaster, and you can tell a lot of stuff went into the a lot of care went into it. And I'm so happy that I got to play Prime Remastered, because, you know, I love all the Metroid games. I love some Metroid. And, you know, I wasn't sure I would like Prime, because it's so vastly different compared to the 2D ones. But this is probably what everybody else was thinking back in the day. But, somehow Prime just makes a super seamless transition into 3D. Like, you're still getting that Metroid experience, just in a 3D space. There's still a shit ton of secrets everywhere, and I did end up finding, like, 80% of the items, I think, by the end of the game, so it's not bad. And, you know, I just had a lot of fun with this game. Probably my only gripe with it was all the backtracking that you had to do at the end of the game for the Chozo artifacts. But I guess that's kind of something that you can fix on repeat playthroughs. Like, if you know where all the Chozo artifacts are, like, on your second playthrough, you don't even have to really do that much backtracking, which is great. That's good game design. Like, it's something that, like, oh, you fucked up. You didn't explore everywhere possible, so you have to go find it and backtrack. Which, you know what? I like that. So, I can't wait to play Prime 2 and 3 at some point, because I gotta play those. I also gotta play AM2R. I know I'll get to that at some point, too. Alright, now we have quite a few one-offs, actually. We have Mario Land 2 for the Game Boy. Specifically, Mario Land 2 Deluxe, the colored version. This was another little one-off game that me and Jose raced in, because I hadn't played Mario Land 2 in a long time, and I really wanted to play it again. And I figured, you know, this would be a great time to revisit it after not having played it for 4 years. Because technically I did play a rando of Mario Land 2, but I didn't have the most fun with it. But coming back to Mario Land 2 was a lot of fun. Now, I don't think I actually 100%ed the game, unfortunately. We just tried to see how fast we can get through it, which was still fun. But hey, maybe someday I could go back and actually, you know, truly 100% this game. I guess That'll have to be for another day, though, because I don't have any plans to go back to Mario Land 2 anytime soon, but Mario Land 2 is really fun. It still holds up really well as a 2D Mario game. And I mean, for a while, it was one of the last 2D Mario games before New Super Mario Bros. Yeah, notice how 2D Mario has had 2 really large breaks now. Like, you go from, like, when did Mario Land 2 come out again? Let me look up. Let me look this up. Mario Land 2 release date. 1992. So the last 2D Mario game would have been 1992 until 2004 or 2005 when New Super Mario Bros. DS came out. So that would have been like at least 8 years. And then we had the New Super Mario Bros. Games, and then like 11 years of no 2D Mario games. Oh shit, my phone's dying. Fuck. So we have like 11 years of no 2D Mario games, not counting Mario Maker, because that doesn't count. And then we get Mario Wonder this year. So that's 11 years later. 11 years later. So now we have 2 really big gaps in between 2D Mario games. So it's kind of cool what we got going on here, actually. So yeah, but Mario Land 2 is really fun, and it is the game that gave us Wario, so it's automatically good because of that. I know, I'm based. Alright, for our next one-off, we have Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters for the Game Boy. Now, I wasn't too sure if this would be as good as Kid Icarus 1. Yes, very based. Considering the fact that it's a Game Boy game, I was worried that it would be one of those games where, because it's on Game Boy, the gameplay really suffers because of it. But Nintendo found a way to transfer the fun gameplay of the NES game perfectly to the second game on Game Boy. And it really does feel like a sequel because it's got the same gameplay. There's a few differences here and there. Like, I think some of the design decisions are different, but it's still got like fun levels that you just go around and shoot shit, get hearts, and trade in for items. Not really a whole lot else to say besides that it's just a really fun Game Boy game, and honestly, I'm glad I got to play it because I think it's really underrated. Nobody ever talks about Myths and Monsters, even though it's mostly on par with the NES game. I think the NES game still is better, but this game isn't bad at all. And honestly, my only problem was that it kept fucking crashing on the final boss, but I don't know, that might be an emulator thing, I don't know. Probably. Alright, so next up we have Puyo Puyo Sun 64. Specifically the 64 version, because yeah, no one remembers it. Yeah, specifically the 64 version, because that's the version that I grew up watching, and so naturally it's the one that I wanted to play. There is a PC version that I tried to get working, but my screen capture didn't like that one. And I think there's a Saturn version or a Dreamcast version, but I don't really know how to do Saturn or Dreamcast emulation yet. And it was honestly a bitch trying to get this game to run, because I downloaded an English patch for it, because I did regret not playing Puyo Puyo Genesis with an English patch. But the dialogue's really light in the Genesis one, and I mostly know what the characters are saying anyways. But since I'm less familiar with Sun, I figured some English would be nice to help me understand, you know, what's going on in the story. You know, Satan, he's playing, he's fucking up the place by making it way too damn hot out. Basically, Satan's causing global warming, and you gotta go stop him. That's the story. But it's still fun, because it's Puyo Puyo 2, but it's got a few extra gimmicks, like the weird sun blocks to counter with. It's a weird rule, but Puyo Puyo Sun, regardless, is still fun. And I like that it has 3 different campaigns where you play as Draco, Arl, and Shezo, which is really cool. And it's really funny how they're all split into different difficulties. Like, Shezo's the hard mode. Of course he gets that, because he's the pervert. And he's all making all those innuendos and stuff. But like I was saying, it was kind of a bitch to get this game to run, because I had to run it on Mupen 64 GUI, which is a program that runs disk drive games. But also because for some reason the English patch made it so that I couldn't run it on most of my emulators. So for some reason it would only work on that one emulator. I don't know why. So besides that though, it was a lot of fun. And I'm definitely going to be playing Puyo Puyon at some point as well, which is the 4th game. Yes, Puyo Puyo games have their fair share of perverts. Man, did like my internet die at some point? Is that why the chat box isn't showing up? Whatever, we'll fix that for next year. Anyways, next up we have one of my longer series this year, Mega Man X Command Mission. It makes sense, because it's an RPG, a JRPG. Now, Mega Man X is a great game. I love the Mega Man X series. And I also love JRPGs. So, combining Mega Man X and a JRPG, that sounds like a great idea. And it is, because I had so much fun with this game. Because, you know, it's a simple turn-based JRPG, which, you know, are some of my favorites. I just love simple turn-based RPGs with a bit of strategizing in it, you know. A lot of the time I don't like a lot of the newer JRPGs, because they kind of stay away from that old-ass turn-based system, because nobody really wants to do turn-based RPGs anymore, which kind of makes me sad, because they're some of my favorites. But the great thing is that Command Mission has turn-based battles, but, you know, they could have gone... It's still pretty generic, but there are a lot of things that X Commission does uniquely. Obviously, you can turn into, your, like... Every character has, like, this super form, basically. Like, X turns into, what was it? He turns into, like, Gold Armor X or something. Zero turns into, like, Black Zero. Axel and Spider go, like, invisible for a few turns. Basically, everybody just gets, like, a super jacked up form for a few turns. And you can just trigger that whenever the fuck you want, and it has a cooldown. And I think you only get your charge back when you level up or something. Or you can use these items called Hyper Games. And the thing that's really clever about Command Mission is that you actually have technically limited storage. You can only carry, like, 10 of each item. So you actually have a limit on how many items you can carry. So you can't just, like, you can't just, like, stock up on, like, 99 of a certain item. And the game is kind of built around that, because some bosses can be tricky, since you have to, you know, work with your limited item resource. And I think another really cool thing about the game is that there are no healing items at all. I think it's like the only RPG I can think of that has no healing items. Because instead, you have this thing called the sub-tank system, which is, you know, carried over from all the other X games. Basically, you go into a dungeon with full sub-tank, and you can distribute the sub-tank to heal your party members. But you have to be careful, because you have a limited amount of it that you can use per dungeon. And the only way to get it back is to either leave the dungeon or to find, like, sub-tank pickups on the ground or from enemies. Which I think is a really cool concept in theory, but when you actually execute it, it kind of just makes the first few chapters of the game, like, really... Because you don't start out with a lot of sub-tanks, so you don't really get to heal a lot. You get, like, maybe 4 or 5 heals per dungeon. So you most of the time just want to end up saving your sub-tank for the boss, and then just using it as sparingly as you can. And then once you get Cinnamon, the game just kind of breaks, because now, if you have Cinnamon in your party at all times, she has access to a limit break. Every character has a limit break, I forgot to mention that. Once they get hit enough, I think it's when they get hit enough. Or no, it's when you charge up your TP enough. You have, like, a TP system, too, that you get by like, guarding and, like, doing certain actions. Basically, Cinnamon's limit break is she fully heals the party. So it kind of just defeats the purpose of the sub-tank. Because you're going to be healing all the time with Cinnamon anyways. So the sub-tank just kind of becomes obsolete by the end of the game. Since, you know, you have the one and only healer in the game. And since sub-tanks are finite, Cinnamon just becomes like a necessity in your party. I never knew they had toilet paper. Haha, very funny. And yeah, I will admit the game was pretty easy most of the time. It did challenge me at some points. Mostly like some of the endgame bosses and some of the super bosses. Which, by the way, yeah, I love the game so much that I ended up fighting all the super bosses. And even then, the super bosses were hard at times, but Ninetales was surprisingly easy, considering I had all... I mean, he's probably harder without all the ultimate armor. And also because I grinded, I guess, so maybe that might be why he was so easy. But it was still a lot of fun, and I'm glad to say that I 100%'d Command Mission, at least in my opinion. I did everything I wanted to. I didn't, like, do every achievement, because, you know, I don't usually go for every achievement, but I try to, like, collect everything in the game and defeat, like, every boss. Usually that's my definition of 100%. Getting all the items and stuff like that. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention the medal system is really fun, too. Like, you kind of get to build a character however you want because of the medals. So you could have, like, certain characters be, like, a buff caster or something. Just have them cast buffs because of a medal that you put on them, and that's also really cool. So, I don't know, people really shouldn't shit on Command Mission. It does a few things that are actually pretty unique and cool from other RPGs that I played. So, Command Mission's really fun. Alright, next up we have the Sonic 3 Air race that me and Zach did. We're actually planning to do another Sonic run. A rally bot. What? We're planning to do another Sonic race, but either way, me and Zach, we raced Sonic 3 Air. I guess it was probably earlier in the year. Probably like halfway into 2023. But I never really got the chance to play Sonic Air, and he helped me set it up, which I was really thankful for, because Sonic 3 Air looks really great. It's just Sonic 3, but with quality of life and widescreen, which is really great. And I played Sonic 3 and Knuckles with Jose like a year or two before that, but honestly, I'll be honest, there wasn't too much competition because I ended up getting like 2 or 3 zones ahead of him, and then the game just kind of like played itself by that point once I got Supersonic and Hypersonic. But Zach actually, like, he put up a decent challenge. I almost lost. I only won because he kept dying on Doomsday Zone, which is just kind of wild to me, so it was fun getting to race Sonic 3 again, and also with a version that I've been wanting to play too. So, yeah, we might do some more Sonic 3 Air stuff, but for now, we have a Sonic 1, 2, and 3 thing coming soon. Zach is bad and choked. We have this thing where we're gonna play Sonic 1, 2, and 3, but every time we collect a ring, the game changes. That's gonna be hilarious. We're gonna do that at some point, probably in January. Alright, next up, we have a less sweaty game, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, which me and Jose played through. I was actually really looking forward to playing Twin Snakes because of how much I had fun with, I had with Metal Gear 2. We could have played Metal Gear Solid 1, but this was before I really knew about DuckStation, and there were a few really cool mods that I wanted to play with for Twin Snakes. So, first of all, I played with the 4K texture pack, so the game looked really nice and upscaled. Second of all, I found a PS1 music patch for the game that replaced all the music with the PS1 soundtrack. And then there were just like a few other like small little mods that made the game like slightly different or more fun. And this was a game where it didn't really matter how good we were at the game, because we kind of just fucked around a bunch and had fun and laughed at the cutscenes. So it was a really enjoyable series because of that. And I also ended up making a bunch of like Solid Snake impressions and like stupid jokes with like Snake trying not to jack off or whatever. I don't remember I don't remember. I made some really funny jokes in that series though. I mean, one of the episodes is literally named Snake's Sexuality, and I already forgot the fucking context of that one. So yeah, go watch the Twin Snakes playthrough. It's funny. I also ended up using some of the dolphin features. Like I ended up using what was it? Oh yeah, I was using like the free camera mode. And I just ended up like doing weird shit during the cutscenes and stuff, and like going out of bounds and like showing some weird shit, stuff like that. So yeah, Twin Snakes was really fun, and we're gonna be playing Metal Gear Solid 2 in 2024 as well. The game, yeah, that's my only problem with Twin Snakes is the colors. It just doesn't have a good feel for colors, but everything else looks great. All right, we have another little one-off. We have, yeah, I just realized I played 3 Kirby games this year actually. I played 3D Classics Kirby's Adventure because it's kind of annoying. Every time I wanted to pick up Kirby's Adventure, I would always stop at either Ice Cream Island or Butter Building, and I never would fucking progress through the game. Every time I tried to pick up the game and play it again. And I figured, that needs to stop. I need to stop stopping at Ice Cream Island or Butter Building. I need to finish this goddamn game. So I figured, what better version to play than the 3D Classics version, which, honestly, the only reason I actually played that version was because of the no lag. Because Kirby's Adventure infamously has a lot of fucking lag for an NES game. And it's really annoying to play. I don't know. I sometimes these days I can be kind of a whore when a game lags a bunch, especially if it's like Smash Bros or something. When you're trying to play a match and the game just lags, the lag is really annoying in Kirby's Adventure. The game can never handle a solid frame rate most of the time. But 3D Classics is basically like you're playing an overclocked Kirby's Adventure with a bit more screen room and, you know, maybe some fancy 3D effects here and there. Probably the best way to play Kirby's Adventure. Like, screw the stupid Switch version on NSO. That's a poor man's Kirby's Adventure. 3D Classics, though, that's the best way to play it. I mean, you could also play Nightmare in Dreamland, but to be honest, Nightmare in Dreamland is just kind of its own game at this point, really. I might play that on its own someday. Yeah, but you think Kirby's Adventure's lag is worse than Smash? Damn. But yeah, I'm glad I finally got to finish Kirby's Adventure. Like, it felt so nice to get to play Yogurt Yard, Orange Ocean, and Rainbow Resort for the first time. Because I never got to play them as a kid. I always got stuck at fucking Grape Garden. That's as far as I got as a kid. I got to Grape Garden, I got to Krakow, I never beat Krakow, and then I just never saw the last 3 worlds of the game. I understand that though, Kirby's Adventure is such a laggy game. But it felt so good to play a lag-free version and actually get to finish it. And I'm surprised it worked all the way through, but considering the fact that 3D Classics Kid Icarus fucking crashes, 3D Classics Kirby's Adventure running as smoothly as it did, it just made me happy, because I'm glad I finally got to play Kirby's Adventure. And, you know, we'll get to another classic Kirby game at some point, but for now, we're gonna have a look at, speaking of Kid Icarus, we got Kid Icarus Uprising. I played the entire Kid Icarus series this year, which I'm pretty proud of. Now, my Kid Icarus Uprising playthrough is not the most amazing thing in the world. It's pretty laggy, considering it is on a very underperformed Citra. But considering the fact that capture cards are pretty hard to come by these days, I didn't really have much of a choice. I did have a lot of fun with Uprising, though, and obviously it's nothing like Kid Icarus 1 and 2, but it has all the enemies and familiars from the first two games, which made it fun to play through, because, you know, having that prior knowledge of the NES and Game Boy ones, I was like, oh yeah, hey, it's that guy from the first game, you know? And, you know, obviously Kid Icarus Uprising is the game that gave us, you know, Mommy Palutena in her true glory. You know, that's why Palutena is as popular as she is today. But the great thing about Uprising is that it also introduced so many new characters, and that's like where the game really shines. Like all the new characters, your waifu. Like, and well, not to mention, it also gave a bunch of redesigns, because it's using all of Sakurai's redesigns from Brawl. So with Uprising, we have the Brawl Pit, Brawl Palutena, and they also redesigned Medusa. Medusa's like hot as hell in Uprising, and then they also brought back like a lot of the cool thing is that the game started out as an homage to the NES game, because you're fighting all the NES bosses. Like you fight what was his name? You fight like the the dragon guy from the NES game. I forgot his name. You fight him. You fight Pandora. And they're just how you remembered them from the NES game, and that's cool. And then you end up fighting Medusa in, like, what, Chapter 7, and finding out, like, nah, man, that's just, like, the first, like, third of the game. And then Hades shows up, and Hades is, like, an awesome-ass villain. And Hades is just funny. He's, like, he doesn't even seem like a bad guy half the time. He's just, like, trying to be a comedian and shit, and that's why he's great. And then, like, you have all those other new characters, like Viridi, Magnus, what was that fire guy's name? That guy. Like, sometimes you just even have, like, one-off villains. Like, you have, like, guys that show up for, like, one mission and then they never fucking show up again. And, like, they still feel, like, important to the story. And that's what's so great. Still, the only thing I didn't like about the game were the controls. Like, the land battles were just horrendous to play sometimes, because you have to use the stylus to move and to turn the camera. Well, actually, yeah, I think, yeah, something like that. It's just, the controls are horrendous. The sky battles are fine, because all you gotta do is you go pew-pew and you shoot, you know? And that was fine, but the land battles, I just dreaded the land battles every time. And they were just such a slog to put up with. Not to mention the lag and stuff from Citra, which it's not the game's fault, but still, it just didn't make the game as fun as it could have been. But I still had fun. I put up with it, and I ended up really enjoying it because of that. You know, that's one of my mottos when playing a game. I'm not gonna judge it until I finish it. I gotta put up with its bullshit, and if I can put up with its bullshit and finish it, then I'll judge and see if I really liked it or not. Because I only have a few unfinished games on this channel, and, you know, maybe they're for good reason. I don't know. But thankfully, I'm glad I put up with this game's bullshit and finished it. Even though there were some rough times. There were some hard times, like some crashes and stuff. Occasionally, there were times where the game wouldn't let me progress unless I turned the settings down, stuff like that. It was a headache, but I'm glad I got to officially play the last Kid Icarus game in the series. And, you know, it's pretty great on its own, but I still think the NES one's better, honestly. Oh, hey, we have Mario World again. But it's not just Mario World. It's Kaizo Mario World. Yes, I forgot I played this game this year. I forgot I played Kaizo Mario World for my friends. Not sure why I haven't played Kaizo Mario World 2 and 3 yet, but I remember I had this idea. What if I played Kaizo Mario World in front of my friends? And it ended up being really funny. Because this is the kind of game that would make you really frustrated, but it ended up just making me laugh instead because of how, like, stupid it was and how, like, difficult it was. And I think that's the best kind of difficulty, is when it's so hard that it makes you just laugh. Okay, maybe that's just a me thing, but still, I've had fun. I had fun with Kaizo Mario World because, like, yeah, obviously I was using like rewinds and save states like everybody else, but even then, it still felt challenging and rewarding to overcome, and it was fun because of that. All right, so next up we have big ass game. We have Subspace Emissary, the 2023 version. This is basically a redoing of an old series that me and Jose did back in 2020. Can't say I'm really that happy with the 2020 version, but I had a lot of fun with the 2023 version, mostly because I put some mods on it to make it a little more interesting. Yeah, big ass game is a good game. I don't know, Jose. I didn't think it was that bad. Sub-Zero falling for 5 bits. I can't guarantee that that'll work, but it is there. Alright, but yeah, I wanted to make Subspace 2023 more grandiose than the 2020 version, because it was just me and Jose playing the whole time. But I thought of this idea to do kind of a couch co-op style thing, where we get like maybe 4 or 5 people, and like you basically take turns playing the levels. And yes, we did play intense mode again, because that's how you're supposed to play Subspace. And I think, like, people got to play at least a few levels. I know at the very end it was mostly just me, Jay, and Jose doing most of the shit, but, like, I think Jordan, Seb, and Aaron were there, too. I think. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I don't know if we'll play Subspace again anytime soon, but hey, maybe we could make it like a every 3 to 4 years thing. We just come back and revisit Subspace. Great Maze was very fun, yeah. But yeah, that was Subspace. Go watch my 2023 version. Don't watch the 2020 version unless you have like nostalgia or something weird. The 2023 version's better. It doesn't have any... Like, I think part of the reason why the 2020, or the 2020 version was annoying was because, Rachel kept intervening and trying to, like, take over the stream. That was annoying. That's probably most of the reason why I didn't like that version. I didn't like the 2020 one so much. And also because, my mic quality and shit was bad back then, so... That was when I was still figuring stuff out. Alright. I didn't really know where to slot this in, but we got Mario 64 Star Road. Actually, it's just Mario. It's just Super Mario Star Road. I always called it Mario 64 Star Road, but the 64 is actually not part of the title. So yeah, I'll talk about it in a different category, but me and the boys, we played Mario 64 EX Co-op. And we decided to play Super Mario Star Road, made by Skelix. Mario 64 John Cena song. But yeah, we decided to play Star Road, which was the first ROM hack that we played. And I think it's a pretty good one to start off with, because, like, even though Star Road isn't the first Mario 64 ROM hack, it was kind of the first of its kind where it really felt like a brand new Mario 64 that had a bunch of cool and new, unique ideas in it. And it was a lot of fun, because I've never played Star Road before. I watched Let's Plays of it back in the day, but to be fair, I forgot about a lot of it. And it was just a treat getting to play Star Road as Wario and having a few Luigis and Marios running around with me. And besides maybe a few annoying moments and stuff not working occasionally, like the game bugging out because of EX Co-op, I think me and the boys, we had a lot of fun with this. We may even revisit if we get new EX Co-op players, but still hasn't happened yet. Don't know when, though. There will be some more Mario 64 content later, though. Alright, next up, we have Super Dimension Neptunia vs. Sega Hard Girls. Kind of a mouthful of a name. This was one of the last games that I actually played before my move, so yeah. It's kind of a annual tradition to play a Neptunia game in the summer. I basically play one every summer, but I don't play multiple Neptunia games per year anymore. It was kind of just a weird one-off thing I did with Rebirth 1 and 2. Oh, tabs will be much later, Zeppy. I don't even know if you'll be up by then, but it's a thing. But yeah, after loving Mega Dimension Neptunia V2 so much, I just had to play this one, even though it's not technically a mainline, since I've played all the mainline ones now, actually. I had to play this one, because it has Iffy in it, and Iffy is best girl, as we all know. And if you disagree, then that's cool too, you know, other Neptunia waifus, you know, are great. But that was pretty much the reason I wanted to play this one next, because, you know, it had to be good, because Iffy was the main protagonist, and, you know, it still had a bunch of familiar Neptunia characters in it, but technically it's set in, like, an alternate continuity where, like, the goddesses don't know each other, and the biggest, like, attraction for the game was all of the, you know, what do we call it? Moified Sega consoles? I played a lot of games, true. This isn't even half of the list yet. But, yeah, we'll get to your list eventually. But yeah, like, I liked all the Moified Sega characters. And also, I forgot to mention Segami. Segami was cute. Like, she was kind of like Tsundere. She was kind of like, hey, you're a bitch, or whatever, you know? But she was cute anyway. And, you know, she had a character arc at the end of the game, which I won't spoil, so she ended up kind of redeeming herself. But yeah, all the Sega girls were cute. Like, you know, you got Game Gear, you got Dreamcast, Saturn, and Mega Drive. Hard to say who my favorite is, but it's probably either Saturn or Dreamcast. I liked them both. And also, we can't forget to mention that Iffy literally drops an F-bomb in the game. It's so uncalled for, but it's hilarious, because they actually have to bleep it out, which is hilarious. And, also can't forget Netbike, one of the best characters. It's literally Neptune, but as a bike. And you just use her to... She's basically the DeLorean from Back to the Future. You just use her to travel to different time periods. So, Neptune turns into the fucking DeLorean. It's great. What's not... It's also a really short game compared to other Neptunia games. It's probably the shortest Neptunia game I've played, next to, like, Rebirth 1, I think. It might be even shorter than Rebirth 1, but a short Neptunia game's not bad either. It was still a lot of fun. Besides, me having, like, graphics card issues in the first few episodes, but once I sorted that out, it was fun. Alright, next up, we have Conker's Bad Fur Day, the uncensored version. I have to point that out. So, I grew up watching Conker's Bad Fur Day. I know. I turned out great, didn't I? And I always found Conker's Bad Fur Day funny as shit, and I still do. It still holds up great, at least the comedy aspect and the characters. From a gameplay perspective, it's a bit rough. I was able to put up with it, though, and unlike some people, I don't really find the gameplay that bad. It's just, you know, janky. But not really janky in a bad way most of the time. Either way, I ended up wanting to play Conker's Bad Fur Day because I found this uncensored patch on the internet. And that was kind of one of my only complaints about Conker, is that, like, they censor a lot of the dialogue. But this version, it uncensors everything. So you get people dropping, like, F-bombs everywhere. And it's just really funny. It makes it funnier without the censor, I don't know. sometimes uncensored can be funnier, and sometimes censored can be funnier. It's weird. It really depends, but hearing all those Conker's Bad Fur Day lines uncensored is just funny. So, yeah. And it was also great getting to show this game to all my friends. A lot of my friends have seen the game, but to my friends that haven't seen it, it was really funny just showing them this game for the first time, because I had never played it. I've only watched videos of it, and I'm glad I finally got to experience it, and it's still great. Still one of the best games that Rare's ever made. Alright, now here's the real last game that I played before I left for Alberta. We have New Soup. New Soup. Me and Jose played New Soup 2-player. This is kind of, this year's kind of been the year of me redoing old series. Even though I only redid 2 series, I think. We redid Subspace, and then we decided to redo New Soup. This is kind of in the response to, well, few reasons. One, Goncedo not being free very often, so we never getting to play newer Super Mario Bros. Wii, because newer Super Mario Bros. Wii went on hiatus for like, I swear, it was like 8 months before we finally played it again. So, to kind of like scratch that New Soup itch, that sounds kind of weird, I finally gave in to that promise that I gave Jose. I promised him like 3 years ago, we will play New Super Mario Bros. Wii. And I finally followed up on that promise by playing it with him this year, 2-player, and we 100%ed the game in 3 episodes. Or was it 4 episodes? It was something like that, but we 100%ed it. It was lots of fun, and you know, it just made me happy to play New Super Mario Bros. Wii again. The other reason why, not newer Super Mario Bros. Wii U. This game was also in response to my late friend Giannis, who's no longer with us. I played it with him about 3 years ago in 2020, and it was really fun getting to play that game 2-player. But sadly, since he's no longer with us, I couldn't replay the series with him. So I wanted to follow up on Jose's promise instead. And you know, we're gonna obviously continue newer Super Mario Bros. Wii, but I'll get to that in a few hours probably. Alright, next series. This one's kind of in a weird spot. This was a series that I did while I was in Drayton Valley, waiting for me to get my new place. But this is Paper Mario Black Pit, which is Paper Mario, but with a pit of 100 trials, with roguelike mechanics, which is really cool. And I'm honestly surprised I ended up like 100%ing this. Well, I wouldn't say 100%, but I finished the game. And it was just kind of something to hold me over when I didn't have my setup. And you'll notice, if you ever watch my Black Pit playthrough, the mic quality is fucking ass. Like that time Zeppy said, "You're fucking ass. How the fuck did you lose that quickly?" But yeah, it was just kind of a series to hold me over until I got my setup back. And, you know, Black Pit's a lot of fun though. I was pretty happy going through the pit a bunch of times, doing run after run, going through the maze, and then fighting like all the bosses at the end. A Kid Icarus crossover? Oh, I see what you did there. But I don't know if I'll ever come back to this, but it was fun, and I did remember watching Fat Guy play this, but it was long enough ago that I forgot some things, so it was still fresh enough to me. And I had fun with it, but again, it was just kind of a thing to hold me over since I couldn't really think of anything better to stream at the time. Still lots of fun though. Alright, now here we have the first game that I played when I got my new setup. Kirby's Dream Land 2, my third and final Kirby game for the year. I mean, I played Adventure, I played Dreamland 3, I played 64, so why not play Dreamland 2, right? And technically there was a mod I could have used for this game that makes everything in full color, but I just decided to use, like, the natural Game Boy Color, which I guess gave it more of an authentic feel, and it was still fun, even with the lack of color. Color I'm not going to hold against the game, though. But Dreamland 2, even though it was a short game, I had a lot of fun with it. And it wasn't too frustrating, there wasn't too many cryptic things, and even when you did have to go back for something you missed, it never really felt frustrating. And I loved getting to play as Rick, Kine, and Koo again, because I loved using them in Dreamland 3, and it's just a shame they've never come back. I would love to see them in a new Kirby game, playable. I mean, unless you count Star Allies, because they're technically in Star Allies, but it's not the same. Because you're not riding them, and you're not fusing your abilities with them, you know. But yeah, and also love Dark Castle. Dark Castle's an amazing final level. I loved collecting all the rainbow shards to fight Dark Matter at the end. And holy shit, that Dark Matter fight, that's like the hardest fucking boss I've ever fought in Kirby, dude. I don't know how I managed. I had to use save states to beat him. That's the crazy thing. I don't know how the fuck I beat that guy, because he's hard. Because you have 6 hits, and you have to hit him like 3 times to just get like a little sliver of health off. So you have to hit him like 50 times, and he has 2 phases. So yeah, definitely a massive difficulty spike in terms of the final boss. But you know what this means? I only have one more classic Kirby game to play, and that's Kirby's Dream Land. Well, I guess Superstar as well, but I played Superstar Ultra just recently enough that I'm probably not going to touch Superstar for a while. So, probably if I do another Kirby game, it might be Dreamland, since Dreamland you can literally beat in like half an hour. So I don't know. Alright, well anyways, that was Dreamland 2. We also have another quickie, which I'm counting this as a series and not as like an ongoing thing, because I don't think I'll touch it again, but we have the Earthbound Beginnings Randomizer. Now you guys might not believe this, but I actually really love Earthbound Beginnings. It has this strange charm that's just not in Earthbound or Mother 3, kind of hard to explain. Even though it has a lot in common with Earthbound, there are also some things it just does so unique that Earthbound never brought over. Like, there's a lot of weird enemies, like there's a lot of animals in Earthbound Beginnings for one. It has a lot of like unique robot enemies like the Barbot and like the energy robot and the weird booby armor ladies and those fucking Borg guys on the mountain. Nintendo is pretty goated. And I figured doing a playthrough of Earthbound Beginnings on its own wouldn't be fun since I've played it a few times, but the rando was actually really fun, even though it was bullshit at times. It was fun, and, you know, using my knowledge that I already had with Earthbound Beginnings, it made me love Earthbound Beginnings just that much more. And plus I had all those weird party members, like, I don't know, I just had these generic NPCs, and they also had, like, I remember I ended up picking up a bunch of flamethrowers for no reason, and all the items had weird-ass names, like in the normal Earthbound rando. Gotta love those fucking hyenas who kept using PK Beam Beta on me and one-shotting me until I ended up getting good enough equipment. So yes, while the game was bullshit, I had a lot of fun with it. Maybe besides the whole anti-piracy screen bullshit that I had to go through, I guess I should get a better dump of the game so it doesn't have those in it. But yeah, Earthbound Beginnings is a lot of fun, and I'm glad I was able to beat it for the most part. I didn't beat the final boss, technically, and I didn't get to use Teddy in my party, because I guess I had a prototype of the game. But yeah, I loved it. It was fun revisiting Earthbound Beginnings, especially after doing so many Earthbound Randomizer runs, which, to be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna go back to Earthbound Randomizer, because I just don't think there's anything really new. Yeah, it was a real anti-piracy screen too. Not like those fake ones that people kept making up for Mario Party and stuff. Alright, so next up we have Metal Gear Ghost Babel. Sometimes I accidentally call it Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel, but that's actually not the name. It's just Metal Gear Ghost Babel. Or if you're a weird American who doesn't know, Metal Gear Solid for Game Boy Color. Me and Jose played this game, and I was pretty curious about it because I've never heard anybody talk about Ghost Babel. People always talk about Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, but nobody ever talks about Ghost Babel. In my opinion, this is like the real Metal Gear 3, not Solid. Because Solid is 3D and it kind of does its own thing. But this follows the style of Metal Gear 1 and 2, and since I already loved the style of Metal Gear 1 and 2, it kind of made Ghost Babel easier to get into. And, I mean, we did technically play this after Twin Snakes, so we kind of were spoiled on Twin Snakes, and that might be why there were times when I found Ghost Babel frustrating. I mean, I'll be real with you guys. I didn't have as much fun with Ghost Babel as 1 and 2. It was still fun at times, and I loved going around and using all the equipment and stuff. But, I don't know, it was weird. Like, I didn't care about any of the characters, because they kind of just felt like less good versions of Foxhound. And I don't know, I think the only good characters, what was his name, Rex Viper? Rex Viper was alright. He felt like a good, even parallel to Snake. And I liked, I forgot what her name was. Was it like Jenny or something? The girl on the box art here. She was cool. She felt different enough from Meryl, anyway. And, you know, it was a lot of fun. Oh wait, no, it was Chris. That was her name, Chris. She was a good character. So some of the characters were good, but not all of them you really cared about for, like the Foxhound unit and Dead Cell from MGS2. I guess technically this was before MGS2. I think this came out like a year or so before MGS2. Yeah. So it's kind of in like between, but for a Game Boy Color game though, this is a really impressive game. I'm honestly amazed what they were able to do with the color, because there are some damn beautiful sprite work in this game. Like, the cutscenes are amazing for Game Boy Color standards. Like, what games could I even compare it to? Like, maybe Shantae, even though I've never played Shantae. Like, Shantae looks pretty good from what I've seen of it. And would you guys believe that these guys, the guys who made Ghost Babel, went on to make a fucking Grinch game that has Metal Gear gameplay? Yeah, I learned about that from the Lonely Goomba video. Go watch that, because that's a pretty interesting watch if you ask me. But yeah, it's still a Metal Gear game, and it's still fun, even though there's some cryptic bullshit that's pretty frustrating in it. But other than that, I had fun with it still, and it was fun voicing the characters. Alright, next up we have Touhou, I'm trying to remember the name. Touhou Yoyomu, aka Touhou 7, Perfect Cherry Blossom. I played this in October, I think? Yeah. This was kind of my follow-up to me playing Touhou Embodiment of Scarlet Devil earlier in the year. Because I was kind of, I was kind of in the mood for a new Touhou game, especially with my new setup and all of that. And, it was fun playing a new Touhou game, and this game has so many quality of life improvements that it just blows Scarlet Devil away. Like, for one, the border system's really nice. Makes it so you can tank an extra hit. The ability to see your hitbox is amazing. It's gonna make going back to Touhou 6 really weird. And the game just looks graphically a lot nicer compared to Touhou 6. I mean, I do think I prefer Touhou 6's soundtrack to Touhou 7, but Touhou 7 still has an amazing soundtrack and a mostly good cast of characters. Like, I think Letty and maybe the Prism River sisters are a little more on the forgettable side, but like Chen and Alice and Yomu and Yuko are all great. And there's also Ron and Yukari, which I never really got to see much of them because I'm fucking terrible at the extra stages, but they're also there. But yeah, this game also kicked my ass. Even though it started out pretty easy, I still found myself getting my ass kicked by like stage 4 and 5 and all that. And it felt really satisfying when I also got a 1cc on this game. And to be honest, that's probably just going to be my goal with all the Touhou games going forward, is trying to get a 1cc, because by the time I get a 1cc and unlock the extra stage, I'm just kind of done. And I don't really feel motivated to try and beat like a really balls hard stage with no continues. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm not a true Touhou gamer for not beating the extra stages, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm pretty satisfied once I beat the final boss without continuing. I mean, Yuyuko was pretty hard. She gave me a run for my money for sure, and her theme song's pretty great. You know, she's the big booby ghost mommy that everybody likes. So, yeah. Even though she doesn't have big booba in this game. I think it's later on that she got that. Alright, here's a little one-off. I revisited Smash 4 this year. You know what, I'm just gonna lump this in. I also played Smash 3DS a little bit. For a little bit. Yeah, Smash for Wii U. I decided to revisit it this year with my friends. And, suffice to say, this game does not age very well, considering I've played so much Ultimate. And and also Trash. Going from Ultimate to Trash, then back to Smash 4, it's so awkward. Because Smash 4 really doesn't have an identity. Smash 4 just kind of came out as a response to Brawl. And now that we have Ultimate, Smash 4 just it feels like nothing. Like, the only thing that Smash 4 really has going for it is Smash Run on 3DS and Master Fortress. It's like the only thing it really has going for it. I guess maybe Master Orders and Crazy Orders if you want, but even then, those aren't very good either. Like, this game, it feels like you're playing underwater. Like, hey, yeah, Happy New Year, man. Mid-game. Yeah, this game is mid. So, I showed all my friends Smash 4, because I was like, we're gonna reminisce on the Smash 4 days. And I wanted to get this game running because I still had my old save data from, like, 2015 or whatever. And that was half the reason I wanted to play this game, was just to, you know, look at all my save data and stuff. And, yeah, the game has not aged well. I keep repeating myself, but the game just plays like you're feeling underwater. When you get hit, it takes like 10 seconds to get to the blast zone. It's just not fun. It's just really slow paced. And unlike Brawl, it has nothing going for it like Subspace, because at least Brawl has Subspace, and Subspace is fun and unique. But Smash 4 just has nothing. The only thing I guess technically it has a few unique things like Woolly World and Orbital Gate Assault, but that's about it, really. Anyways, we have the start of October now with Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. It's basically a yearly tradition to play a Castlevania game every October for Spooky Month. And honestly, this might be my new favorite Castlevania game, to be honest. Because I really liked Aria of Sorrow. I felt like it was a good balance of what Circle of the Moon and Harmony of Dissonance did right. But the great thing is that this game really was able to take advantage of the DS hardware. Sometimes not always in the best way. The touchscreen mechanics are kind of dumb and bullshit at times, because they just feel unresponsive. But I really loved that they kept and improved on the Souls mechanic from Aria. And The great thing is that it mostly has the exact same cast, except for, you know, the villains. The villains are the only new characters in the game, which is kind of interesting. You don't see a lot of games that do that. You don't see a lot of games that have the same protagonists, but just have new villains only. I guess maybe Mega Man is an example of that. Mega Man, I guess, has new villains, but not a lot of new protagonists, really. Also, I think that's Seb wishing me a Happy New Year's, yeah. It's not 2024 for me yet, though. I still have 2 hours, which is probably how long it's going to take me to get through the rest of these games. But yeah, Aria of Sorrow was just so fun, and... Or not Aria of Sorrow, Dawn of Sorrow. And also, it had a really good soundtrack, too. Like, since we weren't limited by the GBA anymore, they're really able to take advantage of, like, what kind of music they wanted to create, and, like, that boss theme, oh my god, that boss theme was so good. I got hyped every time I heard that. And it was just fun, like, using a bunch of different souls. I remember by the end of the game, I was, like, spamming, I forget what souls I was spamming, but I know I used the slime a fair bit throughout the game. Like, the slime was surprisingly really fucking good. So yeah, that was Dawn of Sorrow. Can't wait to play Portrait of Ruin in 2024. Alright, next up we have a not-so-great game. We have Mario 64 The Green Stars. Which, I will say, I liked the first, like, 2/3 of the game. Like, Green Stars has it starts out really good. It has, like, a lot of really good levels. It's pretty basic as far as Mario 64 goes, compared to Star Road anyway. It's pretty basic, but good lord, the end game is so fucking bad. I don't get frustrated that often, but the end game for Green Stars was so terrible. It has such bullshit level design, and it was just really infuriating, especially when me and my friends were trying to work together. Like, we had like 4 people working together, and we could barely even get shit done. That's how bad Green Stars got. And, you know, maybe in all fairness, it's because I wasn't expecting Green Stars to be challenging. But if you want to be challenging, at least make it fair. Like, that slide level sucked ass. The last level was bad, and hell, I couldn't even figure out where the last star was. That's how bad it got. Green Stars wasn't good. Star Road was way better, and I'm looking forward to continuing 74, which we'll get to. Alright, next up, we have Silent Hill. Me and Jose played Silent Hill together this year. I think Zach also joined for one of the streams, because why not? But I kept telling myself I'm never gonna play Silent Hill because it's too scary, or because I don't like horror games. But yeah, I ended up liking Silent Hill. It's definitely another game of its era because it's very janky. It's got tank controls, but like I kept saying, the awkward controls is to the game's benefit because it adds suspense. And much like RE4, I loved a lot of the puzzles in the game. The puzzles were very fun, and you know, whenever I figured out a puzzle on my own, it was really fun. I feel like the game was definitely weaker with its combat. Silent Hill wasn't really made with combat in mind, to be honest. It was made more with atmosphere in mind. And, you know, as janky and outdated as the game can look, the music will forever remain, like, timeless and epic and atmospheric. Like, the soundtrack sells half of the horror of the game. Yeah. And, I'm glad I got to experience it. It actually, you know, low-key, it's making me want to play Silent Hill 2 and 3 in the future, because those ones are also really good, I heard. Especially Silent 2. I'm pretty sure people say Silent 2 is the best one, but we'll play that one eventually. Yeah, no UFO ending. I got, like, an okay ending. Actually, I'm pretty sure I got the worst ending possible. So credit to Jose for actually getting the good ending. He actually went out of his way to fight the Incubus. But I guess I got to show the bad ending final boss, because there are technically 2 different final bosses depending on your actions in the game, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I had fun with Silent Hill though. I can't wait to play Silent Hill 2. I guess I could say I'm into horror games now, kind of. Alright, this one's not really much of a horror game, but, you know, it's kind of a... It fit well into October, but we have RE5, which is a co-op game that me and Zach played. Editing Plus was a little better, yeah. Now, Resident Evil 5 was a really, really funny experience. We did not experience the game the way the developers intended, I'll just say that right now. We played with a character swap mod, which turned both of our characters into Wesker. Now, I know you're supposed to play with Chris and Sheva, but playing with 2 Weskers and just doing stupid shit all the time, some of the most fun I've had in a game in a long time. And the great thing is that it worked with the cutscenes too, because the cutscenes were also in-engine. So, in case you guys have not seen my Resident Evil 5 playthrough, randomly during cutscenes, Wesker's jaw would just fucking break and start like flailing all over the place. And it was so funny when it happened. And also, for some reason, Wesker over Sheva, his mouth was just open, like, at all times. I don't know why, but it was really funny. So you had, like, Wesker with, like, a broken jaw, and then you had a Wesker with his mouth constantly open. And it was even more funny, because you actually had Wesker's abilities. So you would just run around the map at, like, super speed. And it was even more funny when we started hacking in, like, dummy weapons. So I ended up, like, throwing logs all over the place, and throwing rocks and a bunch of other dumb shit, like metal pipes and stuff, and getting access to a bunch of weapons that I really shouldn't have, like an ice grenade launcher, I think. Definitely not supposed to have that. And we ended up, like, breaking a bunch of shit, but I don't care. I don't care. Resident Evil 5 would have been so much more boring if I didn't do it that way. And I'm glad that's how I got to experience it. You know, 10 years from now, people are going to be talking about, like, oh, Resident Evil 5 was good. And I'll be like, oh yeah, it was. I remember my double Wesker experience throwing logs everywhere. What a great time. Alright, we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. We have about, like, 10 more games to get through before I'm done with the solo series, or the main series. Alright, next up, we have Doom 2. Very big fucking game, look at that. Alright, Doom 2. So, I played Doom 1 around the same time, back in 2022. And, you know, I loved Doom 1. Doom 1 was so fun, because it was just fun going around maps, figuring out puzzles, and shooting shit with your shotgun and the plasma rifle and all that. You know, I've always heard people complain about how Doom 2 isn't as good as Doom 1, but I don't know. I think Doom 2 and Doom 1 are pretty equal, honestly. Because Doom 1 and Doom 2 both have their fair share of bullshit moments, like, some levels just aren't as good, they aren't created equal. But I still had lots of fun with Doom 2, and all of the new features to Doom 2 really made it more enjoyable, like, you know, the new enemies, like the Revenants, and the, you know, what were the other guys called? The Mancubus. Yeah. And also the Super Shotgun is an amazing and overpowered weapon, and I loved using it every chance I got. And also, you know, the Icon of Sin is, you know, a really good final boss, compared to the Spider Mastermind anyway, so the game definitely felt more climactic too. And, you know, technically there's more Doom 2 I could experience, because I never got to play the Plutonian experiment and all the expert levels and all that other crap. There's a bunch of Doom 2 content I could still experience if I wanted to, but to be honest, I think I think the next time I play Doom, it's probably going to be with Doom 64, because that's technically the next game in the series, so that's probably what the next one I'll play is. And, I mean, technically I can get Doom 64 on Steam, so yeah. And also, the music was good as always. Doom's music never disappoints. Let me just mark this off. Alright, next up, a bit of a weird one. We have the Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga prototype. This is the E3 prototype. This got dumped in October. So it's technically not a spooky game, but I wanted to play it because it got dumped in October, and I played it literally like 4 days after it got dumped. And I tried to experience as much of it as possible, right? And it was a lot of fun checking out new, undiscovered things about one of my favorite Mario games. And special shout-outs to Skawo. He helped me basically explore every single map in the game. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have been able to experience like half of what's in the prototype. And yeah, there's just a bunch of crazy fun shit in the prototype, like an unused Yoshi cutscene, a lot of beta maps, a weird and cursed Bowletta sprite, and a bunch of unused enemies. Like apparently Jinx from Mario RPG was gonna be in the game, and some other weird things like a pea bean Goomba monstrosity. If you want to watch that, go watch my Superstar Saga prototype series. It's pretty fun. A lot of cool things happen in that. Alright, next up we have Plants vs. Zombies Randomizer. I'm counting this as a series. Technically, we played PvZ throughout the year, but this one I really considered a series because I actually finished it. So, Plants vs. Zombies Randomizer was one hell of an experience. I was going in expecting, like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna get some random plants and stuff here and there, but it ended up being way funnier than I thought it would be. Because basically what happened was, you get a shit ton of imitators, and they have a really high chance of turning into a zombie, which made a lot of the levels impossible at times. You pretty much just had to get lucky. You pretty much had to, like, play RNG and hope you get good plants, and also not get fucked over by, you know, potentially a Gargantuar spawning, which happened way too often, and also a bunch of other bullshit, like, you know, Zombonis, or, other random annoying zombies showing up here and there. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, though, and, you know, Zach wanted me to do, like, the minigames and stuff, but I don't know, I don't really feel like it. Usually when I beat Zomboss, I'm usually, like, pretty happy with the game. And, you know, funny story, the game actually crashed when I beat Zomboss, so the game didn't even want to let me see the credits. So, yeah. Alright, I'm kind of hungry, so I'm gonna go get some, get some brandy beans, so I'll be right back. Alright, I changed my mind. I had a muffin instead. Because I had a bunch of muffins in the cupboard. Figured I'd have one of those. And these are actually muffins that I didn't buy them. I bought, like, muffin mix instead. Anyways, that's off topic, but they were yummy. And that should keep me going for a little bit longer. Alright, next up, we have Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Stars. The last Mario vs. Donkey Kong I'd played before this was Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 March of the Minis. And that game was pretty frustrating at times, but it was still very fun. Now, Tipping Stars is basically just Miniland Mayhem 2, because it reuses a lot of shit from Miniland Mayhem. Yet there are also some new stuff, though, too, like Mini Luigi is an inclusion. He's in some of the levels. Not really that many, actually. He's mostly in the extra levels. But he is there, and you can play as him. Sadly, Tipping Stars isn't really, like... There's no story in Tipping Stars, which really disappointed me as a kid, because I liked Miniland Mayhem's boss fights, and at least the story was, you know, somewhat fun. But Tipping Stars has no story whatsoever. Donkey Kong Kid as Pauline, you go through like 6 worlds, and then, oh, it's birthday party for Mario, and then rolls credits, which is really lame. But at that point, you've had so much fun with the game that Tipping Stars is just about the gameplay and not really the story anyway. And I had a lot of fun revisiting Tipping Stars because I never actually 100%ed it as a kid. It's another one of those games that I stopped playing. And that seems to be a running trend with a lot of the games that I choose to play. Like, I played them as a kid, never finished them, got like maybe halfway through, and then I just stopped. And then I'm coming back to them and finally finishing them, you know, nowadays. And you know, surprisingly, a lot of some of the levels later on got pretty tricky, which, you know, hey, that actually was pretty enjoyable. A Mario vs. Donkey Kong game getting me to think and challenge me, just like March of the Minis and the original, which is actually coming out this year. Alright, but yeah. And it was also fun, because, you know, I had Zach and Jose commentate on it later in the series, too, just to make things a little bit more interesting. Alright, now, the finale for this is actually going to go up on the 1st, but I'm still considering it a finished game. We have Paper Mario TTYD 64, which me and Zach did a co-op on. Nowhere near as long as Dark Star as well. Dark Star was way longer than this. And you know, honestly, TTYD 64 is a lot different than what I was expecting. I was expecting literally like all of TTYD to be remade in Paper Mario 64 and have it be like a bonus campaign after you beat main Paper Mario 64, but that's not what this ended up being. What it ended up actually being is that all the badges from TTYD are in Paper Mario 64, and there are a few secret pipes that lead you to TTYD areas, which was really cool still. And it got me hyped to play Paper Mario like pretty much every week to see like, oh, what's gonna be the new what are they gonna be the new areas, you know? Whoa. I don't know why I said it like that. But I think the fun for this game came from in all like the new areas, because L. Dexter added a bunch of new little things into the game that made the experience just fresh enough that it made you curious on what's gonna happen next. The difficulty, though, is basically non-existent, because you're adding a bunch of OP mechanics from TTYD into 64, which is already an easy game. So, even on very hard mode, I found myself not being challenged at all. And you know what, that's not really the point of the game at that point. The point of the game is just, you know, to have fun and try out a bunch of shit and experience all the new things. And that's what I liked about TTYD 64. We are going to play Master Quest, though, like I said. And, you know, after playing this and how easy it was, that's kind of what made me inspired to do Master Quest next, because I actually want to have a challenging Paper Mario game with a lot of post-game content. Because, yeah, unfortunately, TTYD 64 doesn't really have a post-game. The most it has is a New Game Plus, which I guess is still pretty cool, actually, because I don't think a Paper Mario game's ever done that before. So, kudos. I think the biggest thing about TTYD 64, though, is the fact that it's a stepping stone on what Paper Mario ROM hacking can become in the future. Like, the fact that we can have partners with HP, super guarding, lots of new areas, new badges, all kinds of crazy new mechanics. I can't wait to see where Paper Mario modding goes from here, because Paper Mario modding has a bright future ahead of itself, and that's what I'm most excited about regarding this mod. Alright, next up, to finish off the trilogy, we have me and Jose's Mega Man X3 run, which it's a little weird looking. I might stretch it out a bit like that, yeah. So yeah, our Mega Man X3 run was a lot of fun, because I honestly think X3 is probably my favorite out of the SNES trilogy. It's also the hardest, but there's just something so satisfying about X3. like, it feels the most euphoric to get all the upgrades in this game. Probably because there is extra shit to collect in it compared to X1 and X2. And also, the gold armor. The gold armor is, like, the most broken thing ever in any Mega Man X game. Like, it's probably on par with the Ultimate Armor, with how broken it is. I mean, it's not so broken that you have, like, an insta-kill Nova Strike, but it's still really good. And I don't know, I actually don't remember how Jose did on X3, but I think he had fun with it. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, we played the Zero Project, which is Mega Man X3, but you can play as Zero throughout the whole game. And that also made the experience that much more enjoyable, and it's probably cements X3 being my favorite of the SNES trilogy. Even though that is a mod, which isn't really fair, but still, I had a lot of fun with that. I played Midcart Tour and got the Gold Pass and no Lederhosen and Luigi? Damn, bro, that's so lame. But yeah, X3 is still great. It's probably my favorite in the, I keep saying it's my favorite in the SNES trilogy, but... And it also has really good music, too. Forgot to mention that part. Definitely better than X2's soundtrack, if you ask me. Alright, so... I think this is, Mario 64 versus Twitch chat. I see this more of as an introduction to crowd control. They gave you Furry Rosalina, damn. This was the first game that I played with crowd control. Not a whole lot actually happened though, because it's basically me just figuring out how to use crowd control. It's basically a way to test out the program. So I used Mario 64 as an example, because I know Mario 64 pretty well. And I would know a crazy, thing when I see it. So, it started out as a, like, you know, a few weird things happening. Did you miss out on anything? I mean, yeah, some games, but nothing too crazy. You were there for Touhou, I think. Were you? Did you miss Touhou 7, Zeppy? I don't know. But yeah, crowd control. We're gonna be doing more things with crowd control in 2024, though, so keep an eye on that. Aw, damn, you missed Touhou 7. That's unfortunate. Alright, next up, we have... we have Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, which I may or may not still do the Virgil run on it. I'm starting to kind of doubt that, honestly. But, holy shit, this game is good. You came back when I was talking about X3. I guess you left before I talked about, PCB. But holy shit, this game was so good! Like, this game was even better than Devil May Cry 3. It looks beautiful. It plays better. You have more characters to pick from. I loved Nero as a character. Like, I knew he was kind of like, you know, this oddball compared to Dante and Virgil. But I didn't expect to love his gameplay so much. Because he has his little arm, I forgot what it was called, where you grab enemies towards you and then you just slash the shit out of them. And it strings really well. The combat just strings so well together, which made playing Nero so fun. But then you get halfway through the game and you play Dante too. And Dante, he's DMC3 Dante on fucking crack. You play Dante and you can switch styles on the fly. And it's just absolutely insane, because you can 1 minute be playing Swordmaster, and the next moment you could be playing Roll Guard, and it's just crazy. The only problem is that you don't really get to play Dante too much, because the thing that I see people complain about with DMC4, or at least what I saw, I watched Some Call Me Johnny's review of Devil May Cry 4. He said that you only really get to play as Nero for half the game, and then you have to play that same half of the game again backwards as Dante. which means you don't really get to experience much of the game as Dante. Which, you know what, yeah, I kind of see that point now. Which kind of made me unsure whether or not I'd want to play it as Virgil. But, I don't know, honestly. I'm still thinking about that. But yeah, fantastic game. And I didn't even get to play as Lady or Trish. You can see them on the, you can see them next to Dante right there. I didn't even get to play as them. I don't know. Maybe that's for another day if I don't decide to do the Virgil playthrough. But yeah, I absolutely loved this game. Definitely my favorite in the series now. And I still have 2 other Devil May Cry games to get through. Oh man, did that muffin like fuck me up or something? Because like now I have a stomachache for no reason, God. Oh well, good thing we have Tums. Good thing we have Tums. Thank God. And you know what? There's still one more game for me to talk about. Hold on. Actually, 2 more games. Fucking Sub-Zero Mythologies, baby! This game was so fucking funny. And we played it like right at the end of the year, too. You missed Tabs? No, Tabs is later, don't worry. There's 3 different categories that I'm talking about. And this is only the first category. Okay, so, Sub-Zero Mythologies is a game that Zach really wanted me to play. And I wasn't really sure at first because I said like, oh, but Sub-Zero Mythology is a bad game and it's really hard. And yes, it is. I played with an infinite lives cheat. I'm not too shameless to admit that. But the game was so funny because every time I died, you just get a hilarious cutscene of Sub-Zero falling. And it made me laugh every time. So I wanted to keep going because of that. And also the animated cutscenes every few stages were great too. So you had some live action bullshit in there, and overall Sub-Zero Mythologies was just hilarious. And I'm so glad I got to play it because now I think it's one of the best games. Mostly out of irony, but yeah. And would you believe it's like only the second Mortal Kombat game that I've ever played? And I played Sub-Zero Mythologies. What a way to be introduced to the series. Alright, last game of the year. At least for main series. Mega Man X4 Race. 0 playthrough that me and Jose did. Now, I am counting this as a 2023 game because we recorded this on Christmas. But it's not going to be going up for a little while still. But, me and Jose... we discussed it. We wanted to replay through X4. And we wanted to do a 0 playthrough for a little while now. And we finally got around to doing it this year. But this time, we played it on DuckStation and not EPSXE, which is way fucking better. DuckStation's so much better. And that's partly what made the game more enjoyable. And also, it felt good mastering Zero's SDC. Slash dash canceling. And despite that, it still took me around the same time to beat it as X's playthrough, but hey, I still had a lot of fun even though I kind of sucked ass. I was kind of rusty at X4. It's weird, but Zero is the harder playthrough if you ask me, so it only makes sense. Alright, well, that was the main series. There will be a part 2 where I talk about the ongoing series.